Chapter 2358, Great Compassion Sect, Brahmin Sword Fairy. Wu Jian. You came down all the way to the Anjiu Prefecture and you did not even tell me? I am the Commandery Governor of the Anjiu Prefecture. The man smiled warmly. It was as though he was having a casual chat with a friend. I heard that you shut yourself off from the rest of the world to cultivate. How can I disturb you? Wu Jian said. The Commandery Governors within the Wuxia Baron region were voted by the various clans. These Commandery Governors were powerful. Most of these Commandery Governors were Tier 2 chaotic divine demons. There were also Commandery Governors who were Tier 1 chaotic divine demons. The Commandery Governor of the Anjiu Prefecture was a Tier 1 chaotic divine demon. Both of them were in the same realm, hence Wu Jian did not put up a front. I did shut myself off. However, an important figure came to visit. I had to welcome him. The Anjiu Prefecture Commandery Governor said. He told Wu Jian half the truth. It was true that he welcomed an important figure. After the important figure left, the Commandery Governor announced he would continue to shut himself off to cultivate. In reality he did not do so. Important figure? Oh. Wu Jian asked. A golden deacon from the Great Compassion Sect. The Commandery Governor said. Great Compassion Sect? Wu Jian's iris constricted in shock. After the cultivators within the Lin Mansion heard the words, Great Compassion Sect, they were in awe. There were numerous clans in the Wuxia Baron region. The Water Fairy Island was considered extremely powerful and was ranked the top 3 among all clans. However, the most powerful and respected clan in the Wuxia Baron region was without a doubt the Great Compassion Sect. It was known by everyone as the most powerful clan in the Wuxia Baron region. A golden deacon from the Great Compassion Sect. He should be a Tier 2 chaotic divine demon. Even though he comes from the Great Compassion Sect, he should not be considered an important figure, no? Wu Jian said. That is true. However, this golden deacon was sent here by the ancient elder from the Great Compassion Sect who is an expert in the sword doctrine. The Commandery Governor smiled and said. An ancient elder who is an expert in sword doctrine? You mean Brahmin Sword Fairy? Wu Jian was shocked. The Commandery Governor of the Anjiu Prefecture smiled. Wu Jian felt something stuck in his throat. Brahmin Sword Fairy was an unbelievably powerful super expert. Many of the cultivators present did not know who he was as they were far too weak. However, Wu Jian, who was a Tier 1 chaotic divine demon and had great status within the Water Fairy Island, knew exactly who the Brahmin Sword Fairy was. He was a superpower who was above the divine demon realm. Furthermore, the Brahmin Sword Fairy was called a sword cultivator. His understanding of the sword doctrine was extremely deep and profound. He should be the most powerful sword cultivator in the Wuxia Baron region. The almighty Brahmin Sword Fairy sent someone to the Anjiu Prefecture personally? What is he after? Wu Jian asked. For someone. The Commandery Governor of the Anjiu Prefecture smiled as he pointed at Jian Wushuang. For him? Me? Jian Wushuang was lost. Even though Jian Wushuang had never heard of the Brahmin Sword Fairy before, he could guess a thing or two from Wu Jian's reactions. Even so, Jian Wushuang shouldn't have met such a big figure before. Wu Jian. Let me tell you the truth. I recommended this little one called Jian Wushuang to the Great Compassion Sect a long time ago. The Commandery Governor of the Anjiu Prefecture said. What? Wu Jian knitted his eyebrows. You might not know this. His name was given to him by Taoist priest Xian Shen. That man is one of the most mysterious and powerful men I have ever met. Ever since this little one was born, I have been taking note of him. He stayed low-key previously, which was why I too remained passive. However, 3 years ago the little one fought a battle near the Lin Mansion. I only knew he attained great achievement in the sword doctrine realm after he crushed Zhuge Hong from the Zhuge family with his sword skills. The Commandery Governor from the Anjiu Prefecture stopped for a moment before he continued. Back then he was only 16 when he attained great achievement in the sword doctrine realm. How incredible was his innate talent. Since then I have contacted several clans over the years. Even though these clans gave very attractive conditions, I felt like something was missing. This situation lasted until not too long ago when I contacted the Brahmin Sword Fairy from the Great Compassion Sect. You mean that the Brahmin sent someone over to bring the little one to the Great Compassion Sect? Wu Jian knitted his eyebrows and asked. Yes and no. Even though the little one is extremely talented, the people from the Great Compassion Sect have yet to see it with their own eyes. It was based on my words alone. They needed to verify what I had said. The Great Compassion Sect wants me to bring the little one to the Great Compassion Sect to take a series of tests. If he passes them all, the Brahmin Sword Fairy will take him in as his lineal disciple. Is that the case? Wu Jian understood the situation. However, his frown deepened. After all, I have also heard about what this little one did in the Lin mansion. I was also not sure about the rumors. Hence, I came down personally and saw the little one kill chaotic divine demons easily while he was only in the chaotic realm. Without a doubt, his talent was much more incredible than what I knew. It will be extremely easy for him to pass the tests at the Great Compassion sect given how talented he is. He will also become the lineal disciple of the Brahmin Sword Fairy. The commandery governor of the Anjiu prefecture smiled. Wu Jian, I know that the Water Fairy Island also wants to recruit this little one. However, the Great Compassion sect is still a better choice for his development and growth. Humph. That might not be true. I admit that the Water Fairy Island is not as powerful as the Great Compassion sect. However, the ability of a clan to nurture and develop experts has nothing to do with its power. Some weak clans can also nurture top-tier experts. Furthermore, the Water Fairy Island has a very solid foundation. We can provide the little one with the same amount, or even more resources that the Great Compassion sect will. As long as the little one is willing to go back to the island with me, I am sure my island master is willing to take him as his lineal disciple as well. It is different. Even though the island master of the Water Fairy Island is powerful, sword doctrine is not his expertise. On the other hand, Brahmin Sword Fairy is the most powerful sword cultivator in the Wuxia Barren region. This little one has incredible talent in sword doctrine. He can only realize his full potential in the sword doctrine under the personal guidance of the Brahmin Sword Fairy. The commandery governor of the Anjiu prefecture shook his head slightly and said. Chapter 2359, Competition of Invites. So what if he is the most powerful sword cultivator? Him being a powerful expert does not mean that he is a good teacher. Wu Jian said coldly. Even so, it is still more beneficial for Jian Wushuang for him to be his teacher as compared to someone who is not even a sword cultivator. The commandery governor said. Baiyu, it seems like you are going to oppose me and the Water Fairy Island? Wu Jian was enraged. He had to recruit Jian Wushuang as his talent was unmatched. I do not wish to oppose you or the Water Fairy Island. However, I am the commandery governor of the Anjiu prefecture. It is my role to send the talented geniuses within the Anjiu prefecture to the clan that is the most suitable for their growth. I feel that it is much better for Jian Wushuang to go to the Great Compassion sect and be trained under the Brahmin Sword Fairy as compared to the Water Fairy Island. The commandery governor of the Anjiu prefecture, Baiyu said. Bastard. Wu Jian was enraged. The people around looked at this scene in awe. Initially they had no idea the commandery governor was here. Now they knew. Baiyu was here for Jian Wushuang as well. And he had been contacting various clans to find one suitable for Jian Wushuang. Now he managed to contact the Great Compassion sect. Baiyu wanted Jian Wushuang to go to the Great Compassion sect, while Wu Jian would want Jian Wushuang to return to the Water Fairy Island with him. It was obvious that both sides wanted to recruit the extremely talented Jian Wushuang. Baiyu, you are not a member of the Great Compassion sect. If you introduce him to the Great Compassion sect, all you will get is resources and treasures. The Water Fairy Island can give you treasures and resources of equal value. Furthermore, I will owe you a favor. How does this sound? Wu Jian took a deep breath and said. He had no choice. In terms of fighting power, Baiyu was not weaker than him. In terms of status, Baiyu was a commandery governor. He had a great relationship with many clans. He could even contact the Great Compassion sect. The Water Fairy Island would not offend someone like this easily. Hence, he wished Baiyu would accept his favor. Hearing what Wu Jian said, Baiyu hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. Wu Jian, I am sorry. If it was any other ordinary talented geniuses, I will definitely take your offer since you came down personally. I won't even need the rewards. However, this little one is different. He is truly an extremely talented genius that is far beyond my imagination. If I recommend him to the Great Compassion sect, the rewards that the Great Compassion sect will give me will be far more than what the Water Fairy Island can. It will not be a wise trade if I traded such a genius for a favor from you. Of course, I can consider if it was a favor from the island master of the Water Fairy Island, or from the Water Fairy Island itself. A favor from Lord Island Master or the Water Fairy Island itself? Wu Jian shook his head bitterly. Even though he was one of the higher-ups in the Water Fairy Island, he could not represent the entire Water Fairy Island. No matter how much we speak about it, it is useless. In the end, we have to respect the decision of the little one on which clan he will join. Baiyu said as he looked over at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, are you interested in going to the Great Compassion sect with me? Wu Jian also looked at Jian Wushuang solemnly. Little one, You should have no problem entering the clans within the Wuxia Baron region and becoming a core disciple. I will not force you. However, I sincerely wish that you will return to the Water Fairy Island with me. If you do, I can promise you that we will train you and provide you with all we can. Bai Yu and Wu Jian looked at Jian Wushuang, awaiting his reply. At the same time, the people present looked at Jian Wushuang. Great Compassion Sect and the Water Fairy Island are recruiting him at the same time. Both clans promised him with many great things. Especially the Great Compassion Sect. He will become the lineal disciple of the Brahmin Sword Fairy. Qian Yuan from the Golden Cauldron Sect exclaimed. How can this brat be so lucky? Xiang Yi's face was dark. It is not that he is lucky. He is qualified to receive those treatments. Qian Yuan shook his head and said. He fought Jian Wushuang before. He knew how incredible Jian Wushuang's talent and potential was. He also understood what it meant for him. The people in the Lin Mansion were very excited. This was especially the case for Zhui Yunfeng and Lin Taifeng, the little one. Even the most powerful clan in the Wuxia Baron region, the Great Compassion Sect, wants to recruit him. The most powerful sword cultivator in the Wuxia Baron region will even take him in as a lineal disciple. Nephew Wushuang's lucky, Lin Taifeng exclaimed. Wushuang is born stubborn. He looks down on most clans. I hope he will be as stubborn in the face of both the Great Compassion Sect and the Water Fairy Sect. Zhui Yunfeng thought to himself. He was afraid that Jian Wushuang would reject both offers. Everyone had their attention on Jian Wushuang. He fell silent. He was hesitant. He did not want to join a clan and wanted to recover his prime fighting power as quickly as possible so that he could venture out into the more vast place. However, his talent was already known throughout the Wuxia Baron region and had many enemies like the Golden Cauldron Sect, that threatened the safety of not him but his parents. He must think of a way to guarantee their safety even when he's not around. After a brief moment, Jian Wushuang looked up. Lords, if I were to join your clan, what must I do? Jian Wushuang asked. Simple. The Great Compassion Sect is the most powerful clan in the Wuxia Baron region. You must be a genius to enter this clan. What they need to do is to give it their all to become more powerful. After they become powerful, they will need to contribute to the Great Compassion Sect. Bai Yu smiled and said. The Water Fairy Island is different. We have many types of disciples. There are those who are talented and those who are ordinary. In the Water Fairy Island, there are two main groups of disciples. One is the core disciples and the other is the outer disciples. The core disciples are the best among all of the disciples and the Water Fairy Island will pay much more attention to them. On the other hand, the outer disciples will have less attention but also fewer restrictions. The Water Fairy Island will not care too much about the outer disciples. Even if they are killed when they venture out, the Water Fairy Island will only take revenge if an expert pass by the culprit. As Bai Yu had been a commandery governor for a very long time, he was very knowledgeable about the structures of many clans. He knew about the environment within both the Great Compassion Sect or the Water Fairy Island. After hearing this, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. There are minimal restrictions on the outer disciples within the Water Fairy Island. Chapter 2360, Jian Wushuang's Choice. Little one, have you decided whether you will go with me to the Great Compassion Sect or go with him to the Water Fairy Island? Bai Yu smiled as he looked over at Jian Wushuang. Bai Yu was absolutely confident of Jian Wushuang's choice. The Great Compassion Sect and the Water Fairy Sect were both top-tier clans within the Wuxia Baron region. However, the Great Compassion Sect was definitely the most powerful clan here. Furthermore, the most powerful sword cultivator, Brahmin Sword Fairy, wanted to take him in as a lineal disciple. He believed that Jian Wushuang was not dumb and how to make a proper decision. The people around looking at Jian Wushuang also seemed to have guessed Jian Wushuang's decision. Brother Wushuang will choose the Great Compassion Sect, right? Lin Yin said softly at one corner. Definitely the Great Compassion Sect. Lin Tao nodded his head. Even though the Water Fairy Island is powerful, it cannot be compared to the Great Compassion Sect as it is inferior in terms of overall power, foundation, and the number of talented geniuses. There are 412 young kings in the Wuxia Baron region within the Great Compassion Sect, and the strongest of them all, Zhu Qianqing, is also there. And now, the Great Compassion Sect is recruiting him to become a lineal disciple of an ancient elder. Anyone will take up this offer without hesitation. The people from Thunder Sound Sect thought this way. Right then Jian Wushuang smiled lightly and said, Lord Commandery Governor, I thank you for your goodwill but I want to go to the Water Fairy Island with this lord right here. Huh. Bai Yu was stunned. Wu Jian was overjoyed. Little friend Wushuang, You are serious about going to the Water Fairy Island with me? Wu Jian could not believe his own ears. The way he addressed Jian Wushuang changed as well. Of course, but under one condition. Jian Wushuang said. What is it? Wu Jian was excited. He was prepared to agree to Jian Wushuang's condition as long as it was not too excessive that the Water Fairy Island could not fulfill or be heavily disabled in order to fulfill his condition. He knew that it was worth it for the Water Fairy Island to strive for what Jian Wushuang wanted, as it would definitely be worth it. My condition is very simple. I want to be an outer disciple in the Water Fairy Island. Jian Wushuang said. Outer disciple? Wu Jian was stunned. The people around were also stunned when they heard what Jian Wushuang said. He rejected my offer of going to the Great Compassion sect and the chance of becoming the lineal disciple of the most powerful sword cultivator in the Wuxia Barren region so that you can become an outer disciple in the Water Fairy Island? This little one is interesting. Baiyu looked at Jian Wushuang with great interest. Little friend Wushuang, with your talent, it is easy for you to become a core disciple or even a lineal disciple of one of the most powerful experts within the Water Fairy Island. On the other hand, the amount of resources you will get as an outer disciple is very little. It will be nurtured to the fullest you. Wu Jian opened his mouth and said. Jian Wushuang waved his hands and interrupted Wu Jian. I only want to be a normal disciple without any restrictions. Does my lord accept my condition? If not, I will go and join another clan. Yes, of course. It is just that. Wu Jian nodded his head quickly. He was about to continue, but he stopped himself. Jian Wushuang had already said that he did not want too many restrictions. He did not bother if he was a core disciple or if he was an ordinary disciple. Wu Jian could not force Jian Wushuang to listen to him. If that is the case, can my lord stay in the Lin Mansion for a few days? Once I am ready, I will go to the Water Fairy Island with you. Jian Wushuang said. Yes. Wu Jian agreed. Ah, it seems like I wasted my trip here. Baiyu laughed awkwardly. Sir Baiyu, little friend Wushuang grew up in the Anzhou prefecture. During all these years, I am sure that you have helped him in many ways. Since he became one of the disciples of the Water Fairy Island, we will prepare a generous gift for you. Wu Jian smiled. Oh, thanks a lot. Baiyu smiled a little and he seemed to be in a better mood. He wanted to introduce Jian Wushuang to the Great Compassion sect and obtain great rewards from this transaction. Now that his plan was disrupted, his hard work would not go to waste if the Water Fairy Island would give him a generous gift. Little one, even though I suggest that you go to the Great Compassion sect, the Water Fairy Island is a good place as well. I hope that you will grow and realize your full potential. We will meet one day in the future. Baiyu smiled and left. Goodbye, Lord Commandery Governor. Goodbye, Lord Commandery Governor. The experts in the Lin Mansion bid Baiyu goodbye. After Baiyu left. Little friend Wushuang, I have heard that you have encountered some trouble within the Anzhou prefecture. Some people even threatened you. Do you need me to settle this for you? Wu Jian looked at the experts from the Golden Cauldron sect with killing intent in his eyes. The experts from the Golden Cauldron sect felt a chill down their spine when they met Wu Jian's gaze. Even though the experts from the Golden Cauldron sect were not weak, Wu Jian could definitely kill them right here. They are just a bunch of jokers. Ignore them. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. The experts from the Golden Cauldron sect heaved a sigh of relief. Let us go. Even though they were embarrassed, Qian Yuan and Xiang Yi did not dare to stay any longer and left immediately. At the same time, they knew that there was no way they could take revenge on Jian Wushuang anymore. They no longer had the chance and ability to do so anymore. After the experts from the Golden Cauldron sect and the Xiang family left, the Lin Mansion turned peaceful once again. Little friend Wushuang, when will we leave for the Water Fairy Island? Wu Jian asked gently. He was a Tier 1 chaotic divine demon, yet he did not put up a front at all. Within 10 days. Jian Wushuang said. All right. I will wait here for 10 days. Wu Jian was elated. He was willing to wait for months just so that Jian Wushuang would return to the Water Fairy Island with him. Everyone, I have already prepared accommodation for all of you. You can rest there. Lin Taifeng came up and said respectfully. That is a good idea, head of the Lin family. I will take up that offer. Wu Jian said. My lords, this way please. Lin Taifeng said enthusiastically. Chapter 2361. The decision of the Zhuge family. Within the Zhuge family, many experts were gathered together. Family head, I have news from the Lin Mansion. An elder in purple clothes walked in. How is it? Zhuge Yuanchong looked over. Is Jian Wushuang dead? Zhuge Hong asked. The elder in purple clothes took a deep breath and said seriously, Just like we predicted, Xiang Yi from the Golden Cauldron sect is back. He is a Tier 2 chaotic divine demon and he brought along 5 experts from the Golden Cauldron sect, including 1 Tier 2 and 4 other Tier 3 chaotic divine demon. They attacked Lin Mansion directly and Xiang Yi went straight for Jianghu Shuang. He is definitely dead as a Tier 2 chaotic divine demon is after him. Zhuge Hong said. It seems like this threat is settled. Zhuge Yuanchong said. No, it is not as simple. Xiang Yi is indeed a Tier 2 chaotic divine demon and he attacked Jianghu Shuang with all of his power. However, he was completely suppressed by Jianghu Shuang during the fight which forced the 5 other experts from the Golden Cauldron sect to help Xiang Yi out as well. 6 chaotic divine demons? Elder Qin from the Dongzhou sect was surprised. 6 chaotic divine demons with 2 of them in the second tier was a terrifying lineup. All 6 chaotic divine demons from the Golden Cauldron sect all attacked Jianghu Shuang. However, Jianghu Shuang had many trump cards and managed to defeat all 6 chaotic divine demons head-on. He killed 3 of them and forced the remaining 3 to escape in fear. The elder in purple clothes said. What did you say? The experts from the Zhuge family and Dongzhou sect were shocked beyond words. 6 chaotic divine demons attacked were fought off by Jianghu Shuang alone? You must be joking. Jianghu Shuang is only in the chaotic realm. How can he be that powerful? Furthermore, the fighting power he showed 3 months ago is also far weaker than this. Zhuge Hong roared with a low voice. He was also a genius, but he couldn't bring himself to believe what the elder in purple clothes said. I don't know about the details, but it is a fact that he defeated 6 chaotic divine demons and killed 3 of them. After the experts from the Golden Cauldron sect left, 1 Tier 1 chaotic divine demon and 2 top-tier Tier 2 chaotic divine demons from the Water Fairy Island arrived. The elder in purple clothes said. After they appeared, they tested Jianghu Shuang's fighting power and no longer cared about the incident when Jianghu Shuang killed a disciple of the Water Fairy Island. They immediately started trying to recruit Jianghu Shuang to the Water Fairy Island. The elder in purple clothes told the entire story of what happened next. The experts from the Zhuge family present were in disbelief and fell silent. Even the Great Compassion sect sent their invitation to Jianghu Shuang to become the lineal disciple of the ancient elder Brahmin sword fairy who is the most powerful sword cultivator in the Wuxia barren region, and Jianghu Shuang rejected that offer? How can he reject it? Zhuge Hong stood up, his eyes were bloodshot. The Great Compassion sect is the most powerful clan in the Wuxia barren region. It was where all the talented geniuses gathered. Countless geniuses from the Wuxia barren region would die to enter the Great Compassion sect. However, they did not have the chance to join it. Before Zhuge Hong joined the Dongzhou sect, he really desired to enter the Great Compassion sect. Even though he was talented, he was not good enough to make the cut to enter that clan. Hence, the commandery governor did not introduce him to the Great Compassion sect. He ended up at the Dongzhou sect. Even though he became one of the core disciples and had great status within the Dongzhou sect, it did not mean that he lost his desire to join the Great Compassion sect. But now, he tried his best but he did not make it into the Great Compassion sect, while Jianghu Shuang rejected an offer from the Great Compassion sect. How could he be calm? As for the experts from the Zhuge family present, they had serious looks on their faces. Jianghu Shuang rejected the Great Compassion and became an outer disciple in the Water Fairy Island. Even so, the Water Fairy Island will definitely put emphasis to nurture Jianghu Shuang. He will definitely become one of the most powerful experts within the Wuxia barren region. The Zhuge family cannot withstand his wrath at that point in time. Zhuge Yuanchong said. Even now we cannot provoke him anymore. Lord Wu Jian from the Water Fairy Island had already said to the experts from the Golden Cauldron sect he will personally settle any troubles or problems that Jianghu Shuang will encounter. This also means that Lord Wu Jian will come to the Zhuge family and wipe us out if Jianghu Shuang asked him to. The elder in purple clothes said. When the experts from the Zhuge family heard this, their face turned dark. Family head of the Zhuge family. The Water Fairy Island is a tough opponent. Even when the Dongzhou sect faces the Water Fairy Island, we can only avoid conflicts and not dare to provoke them. The Zhuge family is nothing in their eyes. If Jianghu Shuang really wanted to take revenge on you, all he needs to do is to ask. The Water Fairy Island will not complain at all. Elder Qin looked over and asked. Family head of the Zhuge family, you should consider what I have told you. I understand. Zhuge Yuanchong nodded his head. He took a deep breath and said solemnly, prepare to go to the Lin Mansion. We will go and apologize. Apologize? The experts from the Zhuge family turned pale, but they couldn't do anything but to shake their heads helplessly. The Zhuge family pissed off someone who they couldn't afford to. Their life and death could be decided with a single action of that man. If they would not put down their pride to apologize, they would be asking for it. Soon the experts from the Zhuge family set off. Lin Mansion. Brother Wushuang. My father wants me to tell you that the experts from the Zhuge family are here. Lin Yin ran up to Jian Wushuang and said, Zhuge family? Are they here to apologize? Jian Wushuang smiled. You guessed it. The family head of the Zhuge family said that he is here to apologize to you. This is why my father asked you to go over. Lin Yin said. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He was not surprised at all. He was sure that the family head of the Zhuge family, Zhuge Yuanchong, knew the predicament that his family was in. This was why he did not annihilate the Zhuge family. I will not go. Tell Uncle Lin to settle it. He should know what to do. Jian Wushuang said. Okay. Lin Yin nodded his head and left immediately. Chapter 2362. Paid a visit to apologize. In front of the door of the Lin mansion stood numerous experts from the Zhuge family. Zhuge Yuanchong stood at the front. The experts from the Lin mansion were looking at them in a hostile way. After all, the last time there were this many experts at the Lin mansion was when the Zhuge family invaded. That almost resulted in the annihilation of the Lin mansion. Experts of the Zhuge family, what are you doing here at the Lin mansion? Looking for a fight? A fight? They must have the courage to do so. I heard that these experts from the Zhuge family are here to apologize. They are paying a visit just to apologize? Ah, this is interesting. Many of the experts from the Lin mansion were chatting casually. They did not lower their voice. The experts from the Zhuge family heard these comments, but they didn't dare to get angry. The family head of the Lin family, Lin Taifeng, stood in front of everyone. Zhuge Yuanchong. I have never thought this day will befall on your family. Lin Taifeng smiled coldly. Zhuge Yuanchong looked up at Lin Taifeng with rage burning within his eyes. Lin Taifeng, you are just a lucky man to have met a good brother during your younger days. You got to meet Jian Wushuang through him. If not, do you think that the Lin mansion can live to see this day? Lin Taifeng knitted his eyebrows tightly. He soon relaxed. He said, that is true. I have to admit that the reason why the Lin mansion survived to this day and the reason why the Zhuge family will come to apologize today is because of my nephew, Wushuang. However, the reason why I have such a solid relationship with my nephew and his father is because of my own ability. Your Zhuge family can only envy us. Zhuge Yuanchong trembled slightly. He was speechless. Right then, Lin Yin walked out of the Lin mansion. Father. Lin Yin walked beside Lin Taifeng and started to whisper in his ears. Lin Taifeng raised his eyebrows and knew what he had to do. He then turned to Zhuge Yuanchong and said, Zhuge Yuanchong. My nephew said that he does not want to see you. He wanted Lord Wu Jian to annihilate the Zhuge family. And Lord Wu Jian agreed to do so. What? The experts from the Zhuge family turned pale. Zhuge Yuanchong trembled. Seeing this, Lin Taifeng's smile widened as he said, however, you are smart enough to come and apologize before Lord Wu Jian annihilated your family. Hence, my nephew Wushuang is willing to space your lives. However, your family needs to pay a price. The experts from the Zhuge family heaved a sigh of relief. Zhuge Yuanchong glared into Lin Taifeng's eyes and said, what is the price we have to pay? Simple. You need to surrender some resources, treasures, and properties. How about this? Give me a moment and I will prepare a list for you. You can see for yourself. Lin Taifeng turned and walked back into the Lin mansion. He soon walked out. This is the list. Read carefully. Lin Taifeng squinted his eyes as he passed the list to Zhuge Yuanchong. Zhuge Yuanchong's face turned extremely dark with a simple glance on the list. The higher-ups from the Zhuge family were so angry that they almost vomited blood. There were numerous resources and treasures listed on the list. Even though it would cost the Zhuge family a great number of resources, they were ready to pay the price from the moment they decided to pay a visit to apologize. They could still accept these demands. However, the Lin family demanded half of the properties owned by the Zhuge family. Half of all the properties. Those were the main source of income for the Zhuge family. It was many times more valuable as compared to the resources listed earlier in the list. Furthermore, the Zhuge family already suffered heavy losses during the battle with the Lin family. If they were to give up half of their properties, the Zhuge family would start to wane and would no longer be one of the 6 top-tier families anymore. Family head of the Zhuge family, this is the last chance that my nephew is giving you. It is up to you to decide whether you are willing to take it. Lin Taifeng smiled lightly. Zhuge Yuanchong took a deep breath and looked at Lin Taifeng coldly. Lin Taifeng. Who is the one who made the list? You are Jian Wushuang. You guess. Lin Taifeng looked at Zhuge Yuanchong mockingly. Zhuge Yuanchong didn't need to guess. The answer was clear. He knew the list was made by Lin Taifeng. If Jian Wushuang were to make the list, all he needed was treasures and resources. Jian Wushuang had no intention of creating a family. Why would he need these properties? The Zhuge family will give you the things found on the list. Zhuge Yuanchong said painfully. Family head. The experts from the Zhuge family clenched their fists tightly. They felt angry and embarrassed. However, there was nothing they could do. All right. After you deliver the things found on the list to the Lin mansion, I will pass them personally to Jian Wushuang. After this day, my nephew will not cause any trouble for the Zhuge family anymore. However, if the Zhuge family tries to play punk or try something funny, my nephew will not hesitate to teach you a lesson. Lin Taifeng smiled. Obviously not. Zhuge Yuanchong waved his hand and the experts from the Zhuge family left. Family head of the Zhuge family. You better hurry up and deliver the items found on the list. My nephew Wushuang is about to go to the Water Fairy Island soon. If he has yet to see what he wants to see, he might get angry. Lin Taifeng smiled. Humph. Zhuge Yuanchong grunted as he turned and left. Before he left, he said with a cold voice, I will deliver these things to the Lin mansion within 3 days. Within moments, all of the experts from the Zhuge family left. On the other hand, the experts from the Lin family started chatting. This time the Zhuge family took a huge hit. Lin Taifeng laughed heartily. Father, even though the conditions you wrote on the paper are harsh, why did the Zhuge family agree to it? Lin Yin asked curiously. Does he dare to say no? Even though the Zhuge family will wane for a period of time, they can still prosper in the future. After all, there are 2 chaotic divine demons in their family. However, the entire Zhuge family will be annihilated if he angers Jian Wushuang. As compared to complete annihilation, of course he will accept the conditions found on the list. That is it. Lin Yin nodded his head to show he understood what his father said. Chapter 2363. Set off for Water Fairy Island 3 days later, the treasures, including half of all properties the Zhuge family owned, were given to the Lin family. Experts from the Lin mansion started to check the items. Jian Wushuang was not interested in the properties at all. He merely took some elixirs and treasures that would help him in accumulating his divine power and kept some for his own parents. As for the remaining items, he gave them to the Lin mansion. His father was the one who told him to do this. After all, the Lin family suffered even greater losses in the battle as compared to the Zhuge family. These items would help Lin family greatly in recovering from the battle. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. Father, mother. I will head for the Water Fairy Island. Jian Wushuang stood at the door of the Lin mansion and bid farewell to Zhui Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin. Wushang, you are very talented and very mature. I will nag any more. Take care of yourself. Zhou Yunfeng. Wushuang, please come back and visit. Don't be like your older sister and brother who immersed themselves in cultivating. Zhui Yunfeng said. Roger. Jian Wushuang smiled and looked at Lin Taifeng. Uncle Lin, please take care of my parents after I leave. Don't worry, nephew. Unless the Lin mansion is annihilated, I will not allow anyone to harm brother Zhua and sister-in-law. Lin Taifeng said. Thank you. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. After a simple farewell, Jian Wushuang left with Wu Jian and the other experts from the Water Fairy Island. When Jian Wushuang just left for Water Fairy Island, at the center of the Wuxia barren region, a giant clan was hidden within an ancient forest. This clan was the Great Compassion sect. There was a dark cave. The only light source was the dimly lit candles. There was a blurry figure who sat at the deepest point within the dark cave. An elder in black clothes walked into the cave slowly and stopped in front of the blurry figure. Ancient elder, the commandery governor of the Anjiu prefecture sent us a message. The elder in black clothes said very respectfully. The blurry figure raised his head. He had a pale, young and handsome face. What did he say? Baiyu said that he personally verified that Jian Wushuang, whom he referred to us, was indeed someone who is extremely talented in the sword doctrine. He killed a chaotic divine demon while he was in the early stage chaotic realm. However, the elder in black clothes stopped. However, it was evident that the blurry figure was interested in Jian Wushuang. As Baiyu said, he tried his best to invite Jian Wushuang to the Great Compassion sect. He even mentioned you. However, Jian Wushuang rejected the offer and accepted the invitation from the Water Fairy Island and became an outer disciple. The elder in black clothes said, Outer disciple? So this genius called Jian Wushuang rather became an ordinary outer disciple in the Water Fairy Island than to become my lineal disciple? The blurry figure said as a ray of unique emotion flashed across his eyes. Yes. The elder in black clothes nodded his head. Haha. Cold laughter reverberated within the cave. The head of the elder in black clothes went numb and he felt like it was going to explode. All right. I was not interested in the little one before. Now he has successfully gotten my attention. From today on, watch the Water Fairy Island and the little one. I want to see where this little one gets his courage to look down on me. Yes. The elder in black clothes nodded his head respectfully and left. Within a seemingly endless space, Jian Wushuang, Wu Jian, and the two other Tier 2 chaotic divine demons from the Water Fairy Island traveled at great speed. Lord Wu Jian, how long more before we reach the Water Fairy Island? Jian Wushuang asked casually. The Water Fairy Island is not located in the Anjiu Prefecture. There are 3 other prefectures located between them. There is also no space tunnel found within any of the 3 prefectures, hence we have to travel by foot. At the speed we are going, we can reach the place within 2 months. We have already traveled for more than 1 month. We should reach within a few days. Wu Jian said. There is no need to call me Lord Wu Jian. I am the 9th elder in the Water Fairy Island. Just call me Elder Wu Jian or Elder 9. Wu Jian said. Elder Wu Jian. Jian Wushuang called. Ah. Little friend Wushuang, we are reaching the Water Fairy Island. You can still change your mind and become a core disciple of the Water Fairy Island. Wu Jian smiled. Elder Wu Jian. You have asked me this at least 10 times on our way here. I only want to be an outer disciple of the Water Fairy Island. Jian Wushuang smiled and shook his head. Jian Wushuang was not interested in becoming a core disciple or lineal disciple of a higher-up in the Water Fairy Island. The reason why he joined the Water Fairy Island was because of circumstances. As an outer disciple, he will not be under any restrictions. Hence, he will also have lesser responsibilities. Since you insist, then I shall not ask you any more. After we reach the Water Fairy Island, I will announce that you are an outer disciple and bring you to the place where you will live. However, I will try my best to persuade the other higher-ups of the Water Fairy Island to give you the number of resources that a core disciple will get. Wu Jian said. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders. He was not particular about the number of resources he will receive. The 4 people continued to make their way to the Water Fairy Island. A few days later, a majestic clan located at the center of 2 mountain ranges was seen. This clan was tens of thousands of miles long. In the eternal chaotic world, this meant nothing. There were no restrictions in space-time, hence cultivators could travel tens or even hundreds of thousands of miles within seconds. In the absolute beginning divine world, a clan this size was considered large given the presence of the heaven's will. Little friend Wushuang. This is where the Water Fairy Island is located. The reason we are called an island is not that we are located on an island. However, we do have a small island at the core of the clan. Let's go. I will bring you into the clan. Under the guidance of Wu Jian, Jian Wushuang walked into the Water Fairy Island. Chapter 2364. Outer disciple Wu Jian was an elder from the Water Fairy Island. Jian Wushuang entered the Water Fairy without any hindrance under Wu Jian's personal guidance. You two can proceed to do whatever you need to. Wu Jian said. Yes. The 2 chaotic divine demons behind Wu Jian answered and left. Little friend Wushuang, I will bring you around this place. Wu Jian said gently. Thank you, Elder Wu Jian. Jian Wushuang said gratefully. They then start touring Water Fairy Island. Wu Jian introduced Jian Wushuang to the environment and structure of the Water Fairy Island. Elder Wu Jian. Elder 9. They ran into many disciples, deacon elders or deacons. All of them greeted Wu Jian when they saw him. In the Water Fairy Island, the most powerful man was the island master who was above the realm of divine demons. Then there was the elder group. There were 18 elders within the elder group. Each of these 18 elders was top-tier Tier 1 chaotic divine demons. They were all peak chaotic divine demons. The next group of people was deacon elders. Most of them were Tier 2 chaotic divine demons. The 2 chief deacon elders were Tier 1 chaotic divine demons. The next group was deacons who were mostly Tier 3 chaotic divine demons. Lastly, it was the disciples. There were some disciples in the divine demon realm, but most of them were in the chaotic realm. Wu Jian was the 9th elder in the elder group. He was extremely powerful and influential within the Water Fairy Island. This was why the people that they passed by looked at Jian Wushuang curiously. Who is that young man? A new disciple? I have heard that there was a new genius that emerged in a prefecture. This got the attention of Elder Wu Jian and he traveled down personally to bring him back here. He should be that genius. He must be really talented as he caught the attention of Elder Wu Jian. Elder Wu Jian treats him so nicely and even traveled down personally to bring him here. He should be ranked top 5 in terms of talent even among the core disciples. Many people were chatting quietly. These people felt that a disciple that Elder Wu Jian would go recruit personally would definitely be talented. Jian Wushuang should be a core disciple and might be one of the most outstanding core disciples in the future. It was a pity their guesses were destined to be wrong. Little friend Wushuang, this is the dojo. Many deacon elders or even elders from the elder group will come here to teach lessons. That is the arena. This is where our disciples have formal spars. That is, Wu Jian introduced all of the places on the Water Fairy Island to Jian Wushuang. Soon Wu Jian brought Jian Wushuang to the nucleus of the Water Fairy Island. A small island. This island was spacious, with a few majestic halls and one tall, black tower. Little friend Wushuang, that is the Water Fairy Tower. This is where the foundation of our clan lies. All of the secret skills and martial arts skills are stored within the Water Fairy Tower. The reason why our clan is called Water Fairy Island is because of the Water Fairy Island. Wu Jian pointed at the tall Water Fairy Tower and said, there are a total of 6 levels inside the Water Fairy Tower. The higher you go, the more powerful the secret skills are. However, there are criteria to enter each of the floors. All disciples from the Water Fairy Island have access to the first 3 floors. They can go in and find a secret skill that is suitable for them and leave with a copy of it. Those who want to go to the 4th floor or higher must be minimally a core disciple. Core disciples can enter the 4th and 5th floor at will. However, as for the 6th floor, even a core disciple cannot enter at will. This is where the most powerful and valuable secret skills of the Water Fairy Island are stored. A core disciple must be extremely talented, have contributed greatly to the Water Fairy Island, and have the permission from the elders from the elder group before he can enter the 6th floor once. Even so, he can only obtain a single copy of a single secret skill or technique. I am an outer disciple of the Water Fairy Island. This means that I can only enter the first 3 floors of the Water Fairy Tower? Jian Wushuang asked. That should be the case, but Wu Jian smiled as he whipped out a token. He then said, here, take this. This is? Jian Wushuang asked curiously. This is an elder token. Every elder in the elder group has one of such tokens. With this token, you are granted more power and privilege within the Water Fairy Island. Even though you are an outer disciple, you can still enter the 4th and 5th floor of the Water Fairy Tower with this token. Wu Jian said. Thank you, Elder Wu Jian. Jian Wushuang said gratefully. It was of utmost importance that Jian Wushuang recovered the fighting power he had when he was in his prime. During this process, he could study different types of secret skills to improve his understanding of the various doctrines. The Water Fairy Island is ranked top 10 among all of the clans within the Wuxia Baron region. It should have many valuable secret skills and techniques worth studying. You're welcome. Let's go. I will bring you to the outer garden. Wu Jian led Jian Wushuang towards a certain place on the Water Fairy Island. The outer garden was where the outer disciples from the Water Fairy Island lived. An outer disciple had much low standing within the Water Fairy Island as compared to the core disciples. However, there were many more outer disciples as compared to core disciples within the clan. Even though the outer garden was located at a corner within the Water Fairy Island, it took up a great area. Many outer disciples watched Wu Jian bring Jian Wushuang to the outer garden. Yu Yang. Wu Jian placed his hands behind his back and said as he landed within one of the courtyards. Soon, an extremely old elder with a hunchback walked out from within the courtyard. Elder 9, what brings you here? The elder with a hunchback stood in front of Wu Jian and asked respectfully. Little friend Wushuang, this is Jianghu. He is one of the deacon elders in the Water Fairy Island. He settles the chores within the outer garden. Wu Jian said. Elder Yu Yang. Jian Wushuang greeted modestly. Little friend Wushuang? Elder Yu Yang, who had a hunchback, raised his eyebrows when he heard how Wu Jian called Jian Wushuang. Yu Yang. This is my little friend Jian Wushuang. From today on, he is an outer disciple of the Water Fairy Island. He will be part of the outer garden. Wu Jian said. Chapter 2365. Ming Long. After hearing what Wu Jian said, Yu Yang had an odd look. Elder 9, Wu Jian, personally brought an outer disciple to the outer garden. He even treated him kindly and called him a little friend? Who was Jian Wushuang? What was his background? Yu Yang, I shall hand Jian Wushuang over to you. If anything happens to him, you will be answerable. Wu Jian said as he looked at Yu Yang. Don't worry, Elder 9. I will take good care of him. Yu Yang smiled awkwardly. Little friend Wu Shuang, this is my transmission token. If anything happens, you can look for me. Wu Jian said as he passed the transmission token to Jian Wu Shuang. Thank you, Elder Wu Jian. Jian Wu Shuang thanked Wu Jian. What happens next depends on you. If you want to become a core disciple of the Water Fairy Island, you can come and look for me. Wu Jian said. Soon Wu Jian left. Jian Wu Shuang and Yu Yang stood side by side in front of the courtyard. Elder Yu Yang, I will be in your care. Jian Wu Shuang smiled. You are too modest. Elder 9 personally handed you over to me. Of course I will take care of you. Let me arrange a place for you to stay in. Do you have any requests? Yu Yang said kindly. I just want to live alone. Jian Wu Shuang smiled. No problem. Yu Yang smiled. There were numerous outer disciples. Most of them lived together with other outer disciples. However, there are isolated houses for those outstanding outer disciples. Even though Yu Yang was not sure how powerful or talented Jian Wu Shuang was, he was brought here by Elder Wu Jian. This alone was enough to give Jian Wu Shuang the right to live alone in a house. Yu Yang started to arrange for Jian Wu Shuang's accommodation. Soon he led Jian Wu Shuang to an independent courtyard. Little friend Wu Shuang, I will leave now. If anything happens in the outer garden, you can come and look for me. Yu Yang said, Thank you, Elder Yu Yang. Jian Wu Shuang thanked him gratefully. Yu Yang left. Jian Wu Shuang stood alone within the courtyard. Jian Wu Shuang released his soul power and covered the area around him, including many outer disciples. Huh? Jian Wu Shuang raised his eyebrows. He walked forward and soon reached a neighboring courtyard. There was a small open patch within the courtyard. There was a man in green clothes who was concentrated on practicing a blade skill. Even though the blade skill was not of high grade, this man made the simple blade skill seem extremely intricate and powerful. Middle stage chaotic realm? Jian Wu Shuang looked at the man with interest. He knew that the man was not old. At the same time, he was not considered young. Any genius should have either reached or surpassed peak chaotic realm at his age. However, it seemed like he broke through to the middle stage chaotic realm only recently. He was not talented in cultivation. He was an ordinary cultivator. However, Jian Wu Shuang's eyes lit up when he saw the man's sword skills. His understanding of the blade doctrine and his blade skills were of low level. He barely made the cut to enter the blade doctrine realm. However, this blade skill is still extremely powerful when he cast it. In order to do this, he has to practice the same move over and over to reach this level of mastery. This meant that he is a very hard-working man to the point it made up for his lack of talent. Jian Wu Shuang smiled lightly. He could see that the cold man was not a genius. However, he was someone who was willing to put in the hard work to grind his craft. Soon the cold man finished his drill. Senior brother Ming Long, your sword skills are getting even better. Yes. No one in the outer garden and inner garden can match your blade skills. It might be a little exaggerating to say that no one in the inner garden can match him in blade skills. However, in the outer garden he is definitely the most powerful person. Many other disciples were also attracted by Ming Long's drills. They walked up to him and started to praise him. All right. Stop flattering me. If you are willing to put in the hard work, all of you can do so too. Ming Long smiled lightly. His eyes were calm. He was not proud even though everyone else around him was praising him. This man has a good mentality. Jian Wu Shuang thought to himself as he observed. Right then Ming Long noticed Jian Wu Shuang. Junior brother, I have never seen you before. Are you also part of the outer garden? Ming Long walked towards Jian Wu Shuang and asked. Jian Wu Shuang smiled as he replied, Greetings, senior brothers. I am Jian Wu Shuang and I arrived on Water Fairy Island today. I see. Ming Long said. I have heard that there was an outer disciple that was brought in here by Elder Wu Jian. That should be you. A disciple among the crowd said. Elder Wu Jian personally led you in? The other outer disciples saw Jian Wu Shuang in a different light. The outer disciples were of lower status, as it was difficult for them to even meet an elder deacon, much less an elder from the elder group. Jian Wu Shuang could get Elder Wu Jian to lead him in personally? Junior brother Wu Shuang. You must be so powerful that even Elder Wu Jian values you. Are you willing to have a spar with me? Ming Long looked at Jian Wu Shuang with passion in his eyes. A spar? I am still weak and is no match against you, senior brother. Can we not do it? Jian Wu Shuang shook his head in surprise. Is that the case? All right. Junior brother Wu Shuang. Elder Wu Jian should have told you that even though the outer disciples had a low status, there is a way for us to change that and become a core disciple. 3 months later there will be a selection battle. If you obtain the first position in that selection battle, your chances of becoming a core disciple will increase. Work hard. Ming Long encouraged. Thank you, senior brother. Jian Wushuang smiled thankfully, but he did not take those words to heart. Jian Wushuang came to the outer garden because he did not want to become a core disciple. He would not participate in the selection battle. Even so, Jian Wushuang could see the burning desire that Ming Long had to pass the selection battle. Jian Wushuang and the other outer disciples then chatted. All of them were of the same status, hence they did not put up a front. After the chat, everyone left. Jian Wushuang also left the outer garden and headed for the Water Fairy Tower. Chapter 2366. Elder Token. Water Fairy Tower was the foundation of the Water Fairy Island. It contained countless secret skills and other secrets. Jian Wushuang walked up to the door of the Water Fairy Tower. There, a lady in red clothes sat cross-legged. As Jian Wushuang approached, the lady in red clothes remained still. Jian Wushuang ignored her as she walked into the Water Fairy Tower. On the first floor of the Water Fairy Tower, there were countless jade bamboo strips found lying around everywhere. Jian Wushuang picked up a few and scanned through them quickly. The secret skills found on the first floor of the Water Fairy Tower are of too low level. They are similar to those secret skills that the Lin Mansion has. They are of no use to me. Jian Wushuang put back the secret skills after scanning them briefly. Jian Wushuang then proceeded to the second floor. The secret skills found within the second floor were obviously of a much higher level as compared to those found on the first floor. Secret skills of this caliber were abundant within the Water Fairy Tower, but would be extremely rare in the families and clans. As for the secret skills found on the third level, Jian Wushuang considered them exquisite. There were blade skills, sword skills, spear skills, and many others. They were created by powerful chaotic divine demons and were incredibly powerful. Jian Wushuang felt that it was worth spending time on some of these sword skills. If Jian Wushuang was really an ordinary outer disciple, he would pick a few sword skills related to spacetime rules of order or reincarnation rules of order and study them. However, he was not an ordinary outer disciple. He did not stop here for long as he headed straight for the fourth floor. Before he stepped foot onto the steps leading to the fourth floor, the eyes of the lady sitting in front of the Water Fairy Tower opened her eyes. She appeared almost instantly in front of Jian Wushuang. Stop. The lady in red clothes glared at Jian Wushuang and said coldly, Brat, I can sense your disciple token on you. You are a mere outer disciple. You should know the rules of the Water Fairy Tower. An outer disciple can only visit the first 3 floors and is not allowed onto the higher floors. You must become a core disciple before you can enter. I know the rules. Even though I am not a core disciple, I have this. Jian Wushuang took out the elder token given to him by Elder Wu Jian. Elder token? As an outer disciple you possess the elder token? Who gave it to you? The lady in red clothes looked surprised. Elder Wu Jian gave it to me personally. If you do not trust me, you can go and clarify with him. Jian Wushuang smiled. The lady in red clothes frowned. I have the elder token, so can I enter the 4th and 5th floor? I believe that I can pick any secret skills of my choice, right? Jian Wushuang looked at the lady in red clothes and said. The lady hesitated for a brief moment before she stepped aside and said, Proceed. Thank you. Jian Wushuang thanked her as he headed up towards the 4th floor of the Water Fairy Tower. Jian Wushuang went up the 4th floor, leaving the lady in red clothes confused. Elder 9 gave his elder token to an outer disciple? What is going on? I have to ask. The lady in red clothes took out a transmission token. Elder 7, something happened. The lady in red clothes told Elder 7 about her encounter with Jian Wushuang. Within the mountain range that elders from the Water Fairy Island lived in. An outer disciple has an elder token? Nonsense. In the dark, a figure in a black cloak stood up. This figure belonged to a skinny elder who had a sharp vision. What is Wu Jian doing? He cursed as he went to the garden which Wu Jian lived in. Wu Jian. The elder in black went straight for Wu Jian. Elder 7? What happened? Wu Jian looked at Elder 7 and said coldly. Even though they were both elders in the elder group, they always fight. Wu Jian, as Elder 9, did not get along well with Elder 7, hence they always fight over small matters. Of course, they never actually fought in combat but quarrel often. Wu Jian, I heard you just returned and brought back another disciple? Elder 7 looked at Wu Jian and asked. Yes. Wu Jian said as he drank a mouthful of tea. What is his name? And how talented is he? Elder 7 asked. His name is Jian Wushuang and he is very talented. Wu Jian said. Oh, so he became a core disciple? Elder 7 asked again. Nope. He is an outer disciple. He wanted to be an outer disciple. Given how talented he is, he can become a core disciple easily. Wu Jian said honestly. Hearing this, Elder 7 was enraged. Bastard. As Elder 9 in the Elder group, you are one of the most powerful men in the Water Fairy Island. You went out for so long and you only brought back an ordinary disciple? And you even gave him your Elder token? Wu Jian, you are messing around. Messing around? Maniac Jean, watch your mouth. Wu Jian looked at him darkly. He even changed the way he addressed him. Few from the Water Fairy Island knew that Elder 7 was also known as Maniac Jean. It was obvious that Wu Jian was extremely displeased at what Elder 7 just said. Watch my mouth. Why is Jian Wushuang an outer disciple and not a core disciple? Everyone knows that a core disciple receives much better treatment as compared to an outer disciple. If he is really talented, why wouldn't he try his best to become a core disciple? Instead, he chose to be an outer disciple. This meant that he is not capable and cannot pass the test to become a core disciple. This means that you brought back an ordinary disciple. An Elder token. Everyone in the Elder group only has one Elder token, and you gave it to an outer disciple. If you are not messing around, then what are you doing? Elder 7 roared in anger. Maniac Jean, I will say this again. Jian Wushuang is not an ordinary disciple. He is a true genius, someone much more talented than anyone you have seen before. Even if he is an ordinary disciple, that Elder token belongs to me. I can give it to anyone I want and there is nothing you can do about it. Wu Jian stood up and said coldly. Chapter 2367. Apprehension. Each elder possessed an elder's token and had full authority in its distribution. He could give to whoever he wanted even if that person was unrelated to Narcissus Island. In this case, Wu Jian had chosen Jian Wushuang, the outer disciple of Narcissus Island. Wu Jian, you are unbelievable. The 7th elder trembled with anger and glowered at Wu Jian. It's you who's unbelievable. So what if I give him my elder's token? Not only had I given him my elder's token, but I've also ordered the elixir chamber and supply storage to treat Jian Wushuang better than a core disciple. His monthly elixirs and resources allocation will be more than an average core disciple's. What can you do about it? Wu Jian sneered. Absurd. That's jobbery. Those in the elixir chamber and the supply storage will never violate Narcissus Island's rules for you, said 7th elder. You're right. But what if I allow them to deduct from my allocation? Wu Jian mockingly refuted. The 7th elder coldly questioned, who's Jian Wushuang? Why are you even willing to forfeit your own resources? Is he your family's descendant or perhaps your illegitimate son? Regardless of your assumptions, I've not violated Narcissus Island's rules. What can you do? Wu Jian was fearless. He did nothing wrong. He could give his elder's token to anyone he wanted. The elixirs and resources were also his personal gift taken from his allocation, which was of course not against the rules. Harumph, do as you please, but let me warn you that your actions today will be greatly disputed and won't bring any good to that kid, warned the 7th elder before he turned around and left, refusing to talk any further with Wu Jian. Wu Jian just sat down again and drank a cup of tea with a grin on his face. What an idiot. He doesn't even know how extraordinary Jian Wushuang is. I bet he would have done even more than me if he knew. Wu Jian said scornfully. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang, who's wickedly talented, only chooses to be an outer disciple in Narcissus Island so that he could enjoy the freedom and remain inconspicuous. This matter would have been easier if he's more transparent with his intentions from the start. Wu Jian shut his eyes after letting out a sigh. In Narcissus Mansion. When the 7th elder went off to see Elder Wu Jian, Jian Wushuang had already reached the mansion's 4th floor. He had also browsed through 2 sword technique manuals. Both sword technique manuals were at the advanced level, with one of them being a technique that complemented transmigration law and was highly beneficial for Jian Wushuang. However, he was not in a hurry and took his sweet time to browse through. Suddenly, a seemingly ordinary jade slip caught Jian Wushuang's eyes. It was a record of a certain law which an expert apprehended. It's the apprehension of space-time law? Jian Wushuang was excited. There were all sorts of secret techniques manuals, biographies, and law apprehensions record in the Narcissus Mansion, but none moved him until now. He anticipatingly started browsing it carefully. There are heaps of space-time law information. I've studied space-time law for over 100,000 years and my understanding is at best superficial, but it's good enough to achieve the Saint's realm. The following are my space-time law apprehensions. Jian Wushuang was amazed by just the initial paragraph's few lines. Saint's realm? This must be an undying saint. The jade slip was the possession of an undying saint. Jian Wushuang continued reading. At the very beginning of comprehending the law, one needs to learn about integrating spacetime law into true time and space by seizing control over the power of spacetime law and integrate it into heaven and earth to make yourselves less repellent to time and space. Doing so will strengthen one's speed and power. However, mastering this level of spacetime law power is just a small glimpse into the actual law, and as one's understanding deepens, one will be more proficient in using these powers and could gradually perform the spacetime apparition by only relying on the spacetime law. One's command of spacetime law and combat powers will be boosted upon the success of performing the apparition, which signifies one has entered the first stage of spacetime law comprehension. Jian Wushuang's heart raced upon reading that. Apparition? Spacetime apparition? Jian Wushuang murmured. His current understanding of the spacetime law is much stronger than his past life. In his past life he could barely utilize the powers of spacetime law, but he could presently sort of perform the spacetime shadow. However, spacetime shadow is just a shadow and was different from an apparition. In fact, the difference between the two was quite huge. If he continued making progress in spacetime shadow, sooner or later he would be able to perform spacetime apparition. Once he succeeded, that would be when he had truly reached the first stage in spacetime law apprehension. Jian Wushuang undoubtedly knew that even if he succeeded in performing a spacetime apparition, it was just a fraction of what the vast knowledge which spacetime law entails. Continuous improvements after successfully forming a spacetime apparition will enable one to increase the number of apparitions by tens, hundreds, or even thousands. Such will be extremely useful in combat when the opponent is unable to locate your true self. After fully mastering the apparition technique, can one then proceed to the second stage of spacetime law, strangulation. Jian Wushuang was totally engrossed by the jade slip's contents. The tips left by the undying saint was insightful, as it not only contained his spacetime law apprehension, but it also contained his understandings and experiences of using the law in cultivation and combat. Those pieces of information were new to Jian Wushuang. After quite some time, Jian Wushuang finally recovered his senses. Such benefits. This is so useful to me who's also practicing the spacetime law. Unfortunately, the information seems to be incomplete. Otherwise, I'm afraid it won't be placed on the fourth floor, murmured Jian Wushuang. After briefly browsing through, he found the jade slip only contained detailed information of the law's first stage and second stage apprehension, which was apparition and strangulation. Any information after the second stage was nowhere to be found. It was indeed an incomplete manual. Chapter 2368. The Special Outer Disciple. The spacetime law insights are of immense help to me. I should study it in detail. Other than that, since there are spacetime law insights at the Narcissus Mansion, there probably are also transmigration law insights. I ought to search thoroughly. Jian Wushuang immediately started a detailed search on the fourth floor. After searching for a full hour, he only found what he was looking for. A document on spacetime law insights and another one for transmigration law. These two should be enough for me to study for some time. I'll pick these. Jian Wushuang did not continue his search, nor did he rush to the fifth floor either. On the contrary, he held the two jade slips and directly headed downstairs. It did not take long for Jian Wushuang to go back to the lady in red. I choose these two insights. Jian Wushuang passed her the pair of jade slips. The lady in red took a glance at them, nodded slightly, and soon after passed him the copies. Thank you. Jian Wushuang thanked her and left. Back at the outer court, he started studying both jade slips. However, he did not realize that there was a major disturbance at the outer court because of him. Did you hear? That outer disciple from outer court actually holds an elder's token. An elder's token? How is that possible? Isn't it true that only a member of the circle of elders could possess an elder's token? They're usually very protective of it as well and never easily pass it to others. A lot of outstanding core disciples couldn't even get one. How could an outer disciple possess it? The news is true though. That elder's token is given by Elder Wujin himself. Not only that, Elder Wujin even instructed the elixir court and the supply storage to give him a lot more resources than any core disciples. How could an outer disciple get a lot more resources than a core disciple? Isn't this favoritism? Who knows? There are rumors going around saying that it's very possible this outer disciple has some special relationship with Elder Wujin. There were even a number of people saying he was the elder's illegitimate son. Oh yeah, what's his name? I think it's Jian Wushuang. The entire outer court was boiling with controversy. Nobody could hide the fact that Jian Wushuang held an elder's token and received much more monthly elixirs and resources than most core disciples. Not only the outer court, even core disciples in the inner court had heard about it. Of course, that had sparked displeasure among many people. One must have realized the treatment Jian Wushuang had received was a lot more luxurious than most core disciples despite him being only an outer disciple. That was also the reason Jian Wushuang's identity as an outer disciple on Narcissus Island had become somewhat curious and extremely special. In the courtyard, Jian Wushuang was holding the Spacetime Law Insights Jade slip, browsing and studying it at will. Junior brother Wushuang. A voice spoke as a stern-looking man with a battle blade on his back slowly walked over. That man was none other than Yin Long, who lived close to Jian Wushuang's courtyard. Senior brother Yin Long. Jian Wushuang smiled and stood up. The rumors are running wild out there, but you're still quite relaxed here. Yin Long smiled. Jian Wushuang had also heard of various rumors in the outer court and smiled helplessly. It's their mouths, I can't stop what they want to say. Yin Long glanced over. True enough, but you probably should take action so that they would shut up. The selection will begin 3 months later, you can take part in it. That would be your chance to show your true abilities to the naysayers. The selection at the outer court? Jian Wushuang smiled slightly as he had heard Yin Long mention it before. The status and treatment difference between outer disciples and core disciples were too big. As such, it initiated the desires of outer disciples wanting to become core disciples, and the opportunity to do so was the selection at the outer court. Therefore, the selection was of utmost importance to a lot of outer disciples. One good example was Yin Long, who was standing before him. Forget it, I'm still far from that level. Even if I took part in the selection, I would only be the butt of everyone's joke, said Jian Wushuang. Junior brother, you have no plans to take part at all? Yin Long was surprised. What he did not know was that if Jian Wushuang had wanted to become a core disciple, he would have become one much earlier without needing to go through the trouble of partaking in the selection. Hence naturally he did not feel like attending. I'm truly not so interested in the selection. On the other hand, looks like you've set your mind to be selected this time, senior brother? Jian Wushuang looked intriguingly at Yin Long. Yin Long did not deny. Correct. 3 years ago, I had wanted very much to be selected as a core disciple. However, my ability wasn't up to par. In the past 3 years I gave everything to raise my skills and finally reach the current level. Therefore, I must become the winner in the upcoming selection. Yin Long clenched his hands tightly together and his eyes were burning with hope. For a short while, Jian Wushuang could see that Yin Long really had strong yearnings to become a core disciple of Narcissus Island. In the past few days since I arrived at the outer court, I've already heard that you're the strongest among all the outer disciples. Looks like you will be chosen this time around just as you wish. Jian Wushuang smiled. Nothing is absolute, but I am a lot more confident this time compared with last time. Yin Long's face was filled with confidence. Junior brother, do carry on with your practice. I shouldn't disturb you further. As long as you do what your heart tells you, you shouldn't worry about the rumors in the outer court. Yin Long encouraged him before leaving. Jian Wushuang had a smile on his face while watching Yin Long leaving. He could not deny that he had a rather good impression towards Yin Long. First of all, Yin Long had never acted pretentiously towards any fellow outer court disciples. He was a very mild-mannered person. Secondly, he was very hard-working. He possessed mediocre talent but worked extra hard to stand out among all the outer disciples. His blade technique was the result of countless tests and constant training. Jian Wushuang really appreciated a person like that. The selection in 3 months? Jian Wushuang shook his head, then continued his studies on the content in the jade slips. Chapter 2369. The selection time flew by and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. At the outer court, the triennial selection had begun. A huge number of outer disciples gathered around the gigantic fighting ring. There were even a small number of core disciples who attended simply out of curiosity. The selection at the outer court was almost the only chance outer disciples could become core disciples. It was of utmost importance to them. The fighting ring had become extremely lively with a large crowd around it. The selection has begun again. I wonder who'll be the winner. Do you really still have to wonder? Of course, it's senior brother Yin Long. Who among us in the outer court could beat him anyway? That's actually true. For his level, it shouldn't be a problem for him to defeat everyone in the outer court. The only person who could probably bring some challenge to him is senior brother Chen Xia. However, senior brother Chen Xia had fought senior brother Yin Long a few times before and was always on the absolute losing side. The comments waves among outer disciples almost uniformly agreed that Yin Long would become the final victor in the selection. It was true that only Yin Long had the ability to defeat all of them. Compared to him, they were all quite far below his level. Right then, "Oh yeah, what about that Jian Wushuang?" someone shouted, causing a noisy disturbance around the ring. "That's right. Where is that Jian Wushuang guy who has an elder's token and would get even more supplies than core disciples? If he has resources that could make core disciples jealous, I'm sure he has very outstanding tactics and abilities. Then why don't we see him in this year's selection?" Don't tell me he's afraid? Many of the outer disciples were searching thoroughly around the fighting ring but could not find a trace of Jian Wushuang. They very soon received news indicating that Jian Wushuang did not even plan to take part in that year's selection. They'll be damned. I thought I could see what he is made of in the selection. Instead, he isn't even taking part now? From how I see it, I'm sure he knows he isn't good enough and would only face humiliation by taking part in the selection. That's why he didn't join on purpose. What a coward this Jian Wushuang. Isn't he? Since he has got more resources than the core disciples, he should prove that he is even more outstanding than most core disciples. However bad he is, he should at least show that he has got something that others don't. But now it's clear that he is not feeling confident. Alright, let's not talk too much. We all know this Jian Wushuang character has an unusual relationship with Elder Wujian. Who knows, he could be Elder Wujian's offspring in the outer realm, maybe even his illegitimate son. It's only normal that Elder Wujian shows partiality for him. There was a disdain undertone between the outer disciples' comments. However, the discussion soon gradually faded and the selection officially began. At a separate courtyard of the outer court, Jian Wushuang lightly shut his eyes and swallowed an elixir pill that could raise divine power. After ingesting the elixir, the efficacy was fully absorbed by Jian Wushuang within only 2 breaths. My divine power has become purer and purer. I can have a new breakthrough within a month with my current progress speed, reaching the middle stage chaotic realm. Jian Wushuang smiled with satisfaction. Before he arrived at Narcissus Island, he knew that he could restore his peak ability in only a few years' time. However, within less than 3 months he was already 1 step away from the middle stage chaotic realm. With such progress he could return to his peak in 3 years' time. Seeing the time of day, the selection has most probably started. The selection takes 2 days, but I could already predict the result today. Hopefully senior brother Yin Long can really defeat all the outer disciples without many difficulties. Jian Wushuang smiled before closing his eyes again and began to concentrate on understanding the knowledge from the jade slips. A day quickly passed with such learning concentration. In the blink of an eye, the sun was setting in the west and darkness fell. Only then did the outer disciples who were gathering around the fighting ring gradually dispersed. Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed as he sat properly in the courtyard. Senior brother Yin Long. Jian Wushuang's body mysteriously moved and stood in front of Yin Long, who just returned from the fighting ring. Junior brother Wushuang. Yin Long raised his head and took a glance at Jian Wushuang with a forced smile. Has the first day of the selection ended? Jian Wushuang looked at him. Yin Long nodded slightly. Junior brother Wushuang, I still have something to attend to and can't talk right now. He headed swiftly towards his courtyard after he spoke. Jian Wushuang stood there with a strange expression. Logically speaking, with Yin Long's ability, it shouldn't be difficult for him to defeat the entire outer court and become the champion of this term's selection. He could have fulfilled his wish as a core disciple, but why did he look so upset? Did he run into some trouble? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Right at that instant, he saw a hunching old gentleman walking over. Jian Wushuang paced quickly towards him. Elder Yu Yang, said Jian Wushuang humbly. It's my little friend Wushuang. What's the matter, my little friend? Old gentleman Yu Yang gave a warm smile. If I didn't guess wrongly, Elder Yu Yang must have attended the selection today? Asked Jian Wushuang. Elder Yu Yang nodded. Of course. The selection was held among the outer disciples and I'm in charge of various matters in the outer court. Naturally, I would have to keep an eye on the selection. Since it's so, you should clearly know what happened during the selection. I wonder what has gone down. As when I saw senior brother Yin Long, he seemed rather upset, said Jian Wushuang. Well, Elder Yu Yang pondered for a bit before saying, it's actually quite simple. According to his abilities, Yin Long could have easily beaten all the outer disciples in this selection. Everybody thought so, including the authorities on Narcissus Island. However, during the selection today, Chen Xia, who had challenged Yin Long a few times and who had the capability to threaten him, made his move. Once he took action and exposed his ability, it was clear that he had reached the peak stage chaotic realm. You have to know that the difference between the middle and peak stage of chaotic realm is unbelievably huge. Even though Yin Long didn't face Chen Xia, he could more or less tell what the result would be, said Elder Yu Yang. Is that so? No wonder senior brother Yin Long looked so upset. Jian Wushuang finally understood. Chapter 2370, Pointers, 1. Jian Wushuang knew how much the selection meant to Yin Long. With his abilities he really could defeat the entire outer court. However, out of the blue, there was someone among them who had reached the peak stage chaotic realm. The peak stage chaotic realm was equivalent to the great emperor level in the eternal chaotic world during the previous era. While Yin Long was only at the middle stage chaotic realm, it was still a huge difference from the level of the god emperor. As a matter of fact, Yin Long is a tragic character, said Elder Yu Yang suddenly. Tragic character? How so? Asked Jian Wushuang. My little friend, you just arrived at Narcissus Island not long ago, so you don't know much. But quite a lot of people knew about his background. He was the son of a big clan, but his family crossed a powerful enemy and his clan was then destroyed. He is the sole survivor. One could say that he bears a deep feud and his archenemy is an incredibly powerful second-class divine demon. He has an extremely strong desire to seek vengeance and worked very hard for it. Pity that he is of mediocre talent. Even after spending much effort to join Narcissus Island, he could only remain as an outer disciple. Although he has been standing out among the outer disciples in the past few years, with his progress speed, I'm afraid it doesn't seem to be realistic for him to seek revenge. Hence, he could only try his very best to fight for the opportunity to become a core disciple, even fighting to be under the wings of some experts. And the result? You saw it yourself. He is willing to work for it, but luck isn't on his side. His ability was truly not up to par in the last selection, but this time, as far as I knew, he is the strongest in the outer court. However, Chen Xiao found a long yang fruit out of the blue and reached the peak stage chaotic realm after eating it. A peak stage chaotic realm is that much stronger than Yin Long's middle stage, hence Yin Long will have to fail the selection once again. All he can do is to wait another 3 years, then he might stand a chance, said Elder Yu Yang slowly. Wait for another 3 years? Jian Wushuang frowned. 3 years was not a long period of time, but it was crucial for a 30-something-year-old practitioner like Yin Long. In 3 years' time, given the environment he was placed in, one could turn out one way or the other. In that sense, senior brother Yin Long's fate is truly tragic, said Jian Wushuang. Elder Yu Yang shook his head. It's so, but one can't help. Narcissus Island has its very own rules and he can't break them unless he has an elder's token as you do, but obviously he isn't as fortunate. Jian Wushuang shrugged and soon left without continuing his chat with Elder Yu Yang. Late at night, the bright mid-sky moon was covering the entire Narcissus Island with a veil of light. It was rather tranquil on the island. On an empty field, swing, 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 swing. Strips of blade light flashed one after another. A stern-looking man in the middle of the field was entirely soaked in sweat. He had spent 70 to 80% of his divine power and a feeling of deep exhaustion wrapped around him. Even so, the stern man's eyes were still sharp as knives, swinging his battle blade non-stop, perfectly performing his set of blade forms. He practiced very seriously and his forms were extremely forceful. Not far from the field, Jian Wushuang held his arms together and quietly stood in an empty space. It's so late at night and he's still practicing. Senior brother Yin Long is truly a hard-working and dedicated person, said Jian Wushuang to himself. He really admired people like Yin Long. He was willing to give infinite effort for seeking vengeance and not wasting any second of his life. He never thought of giving up even though knowing his result, position and hope to seek revenge was faint. Perhaps I could give him some pointers. Jian Wushuang smiled and mobilized his body. He was already on the field where Yin Long was when he reappeared. Sensing that Jian Wushuang was there, Yin Long stopped his practice. He retracted his blade and stood still, looking over at Jian Wushuang. Junior brother Wushuang, it's already so late. Are you not resting? I'm just bored and taking a walk. I stumbled upon your practice by chance and had some realization, so I came to ask you for some advice, said Jian Wushuang. Advice? Do you mean try a few moves? Yin Long was still extremely warm. That's actually what I mean, said Jian Wushuang. Ah, sure, junior brother Wushuang. Let's cross hands on this field. Come at me with all you have. Yin Long stood there with a burst of hearty laughter. His tone resonated with his absolute confidence. Jian Wushuang did not waste time on words as he turned his wrist and a regular long sword appeared in his hand. At the same time, his divine power started spreading from his body. Early stage chaotic realm? Yin Long could feel the energy of his divine power and instantly smiled. Well then, I'll suppress my abilities and try my best to fight within the early stage chaotic realm. However, Jian Wushuang shook his hand. No need, senior brother Yin Long. You can give your all, that's what I really want to see. Yin Long raised his eyebrows and did not insist on the issue. Is that right? Since that's what you want, then stay alert. Jian Wushuang smiled nonchalantly. Yin Long had taken his first move. With a simple flash, he already appeared in front of Jian Wushuang with his battle blade silently swung out. He was incredibly fast. Of course, Yin Long was still holding back a little. Otherwise he would be faster and the blade's edge would be even colder. They were merely trying hands and Jian Wushuang was his junior brother. He did not intend to hurt him. However, just as he thought he could have defeated Jian Wushuang with that move, Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head. As he raised his head, he disappeared. Yin Long's face changed. Right behind him, Jian Wushuang's body appeared as Yin Long felt a burning pain on his arm. Looking at it, he realized there was a blade wound that came from nowhere and his battle blade had fallen to the ground. Senior brother Yin Long, looks like I've won the first round. Jian Wushuang's voice spoke behind him with an indifference tone. Yin Long was a little stunned. How did that happen? The power that burst out of him in that instance was clearly of the early stage chaotic realm. It was weaker than mine, but how did he defeat me in an instant when we crossed blades? Chapter 2371, Pointers 2. Yin Long could not believe it. Jian Wushuang had already turned around. Senior brother Yin Long, please pick up your battle blade and let's try again. Very well. Yin Long did not hesitate and picked up his weapon as he looked over at Jian Wushuang. At this moment Yin Long had a heavy expression on his face. Ready? Jian Wushuang raised his eyes and looked at Yin Long. Yup. Yin Long nodded. However, just as he was nodding, Jian Wushuang made his move again. He could vaguely see a ghastly silhouette sweeping by before the same scenario happened again. The wound on Yin Long's arm had deepened while his battle blade fell to the ground once again. Senior brother Yin Long, this is already the second time. Shall we try once more? Jian Wushuang smiled. Again. Yin Long did not give up and crossed hands with Jian Wushuang again, but the result was the same. This went on for another 5 more rounds where they crossed blades 7 consecutive times and yet, Yin Long could not even touch the corner of Jian Wushuang's robe before being defeated. Moreover, Yin Long could not even find a chance to make one move. The battle blade in his hand had not even been swung once. How did that happen? Impossible, it's impossible. He is obviously at the early stage chaotic realm, the power he projects is definitely much weaker than mine as well. However, when we crossed hands, I didn't even have the time to react. Yin Long's eyes looked hollow while the corner of his mouth kept mumbling to himself. Senior brother Yin Long, have you understood it? Jian Wushuang looked at Yin Long once again. Yin Long paused and started thinking. Jian Wushuang continued. The level of a practitioner isn't always determined by his realm stage. I admit, it does play an important role. In normal circumstances, your middle stage chaotic realm can definitely crush my early stage. However, in unusual circumstances, the early stage chaotic realm could still easily defeat the middle stage, even killing it. Like now, I could easily defeat you despite me truly only using the power of early stage energy including its speed. However, my understanding of sword skills, technique, and sense of law insights are miles ahead of yours. It was because of that I could easily kill you. Regarding Chen Xia that you saw today, it's definitely true that he has broken into the peak level of chaotic realm and his ability has become a lot stronger than before, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't stand a chance. After all, Chen Xia only broke through with the help of the Longyang fruit's efficacy. A person who broke through with such a method is the most unstable one, ability-wise. Besides, you are hardworking enough. Your understanding of the blade and techniques is a lot higher than Chen Xia, plus you have a lot more fighting experience than he does. In such a situation, even if Chen Xia is a realm higher than you, it doesn't mean you can't have a good fight and a very good winning chance. I dare say the chance of him winning over you is 70% to 30%. 70% for him and 30% for you. 30% is not a low chance. If you could seize the opportunity, it isn't impossible to defeat Chen Xia. Listening to Jian Wushuang's words, Yin Long, who felt immense pressure and even a little depressed, had his eyes lit up. If Jian Wushuang had told him something similar before, he would probably pay no mind to it. However, Jian Wushuang had demonstrated how he could have defeated him completely with just the level of an early-stage chaotic realm. If Jian Wushuang could defeat him at that level, why could he not defeat Chen Xia with his middle-stage chaotic realm? The important part was, as Jian Wushuang had said, Chen Xia reached his level with the help of a natural treasure's efficacy. His practical abilities were not very strong and his other aspects were mediocre as well. Facing such an opponent did not really mean that he had no winning chance at all. Senior brother Yinlong, you'll stop talking. It's up to you after this. Jian Wushuang smiled and left. Yinlong stared at Jian Wushuang for a long time until he had disappeared into the night before snapping out of his deep thoughts. At that moment he was filled with tremendous fighting motivation. That was right, it was the motivation for battle. Earlier, his heart turned cold when he saw Chen Xia's breakthrough, thinking that he did not stand a chance and would have to wait for another 3 years. But now, his motivation has been ignited again and was in fact burning even brighter and stronger. At that moment, he only wanted to have a face down with Chen Xia and defeat him with his strongest abilities. Junior brother Wushuang, Yinlong deeply looked at Jian Wushuang's back and his eyes illuminated with amazement. Soon after, Yinlong returned to his room and started regenerating his divine power. As the sky just began faintly turning bright on the next day, the outer court of Narcissus Island started boiling in a frenzy. The selection continued on the fighting ring. It was the last day of the selection and the final victor shall stand a chance to become a core disciple on Narcissus Island. In order to seize this one and only opportunity, the outer disciples fought with extreme intensity. At the outer court, Jian Wushuang's courtyard. Jian Wushuang calmly sat at the stone table as usual, studying the insights on the jade slips while sipping tea. Without realizing how much time had passed, Jian Wushuang raised his head and looked at the afar space. He could see a clear trace of redness. The sun was setting. It's sunset already? If nothing out of the ordinary happened, the selection should be finished by now. I wonder what the final result is, said Jian Wushuang to himself. He really liked Yinlong naturally, he hoped that he would smoothly go through the selection and become Narcissus Island's core disciple. Although he did not care about being a core disciple himself, it was of utmost importance for Yinlong. Not long after, Jian Wushuang's courtyard door opened and a few people came in. Jian Wushuang spotted Yinlong leading in front. At that moment, Yinlong's depressed demeanor from the night before had been replaced by excitement and ecstasy. Looks like he had passed and became Narcissus Island's core disciple. He didn't waste my effort last night of giving him pointers, said Jian Wushuang to himself. Yinlong and the few others walked towards Jian Wushuang. Senior brother Yinlong, congratulations. Jian Wushuang stood up to greet him. Junior brother Wushuang, you didn't even attend the selection. How did you know you should congratulate senior brother Yinlong? Asked an outer disciple directly. Can't I tell from his facial expression? Jian Wushuang casually smiled. That's true. The outer disciple laughed. Junior brother Wushuang, I'm here to express my gratitude, said Yinlong respectfully. Chapter 2372, Pavilion of Divine Mystery, Gratitude. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Gentlemen, I would like to speak to junior brother Wushuang in private for a moment. Yinlong looked at the people behind him. Senior brother Yinlong, we'll see you later in that case. Immediately, the few outer disciples respectfully left, leaving only Jian Wushuang and Yinlong at the courtyard. Yinlong sat down on the stone stool right next to Jian Wushuang. Senior brother Yinlong, you've defeated Chen Xia? Asked Jian Wushuang casually. Yinlong shook his head. No. Although I didn't defeat him, we were tied. The elders decided to accept both Chen Xia and me as core disciples since they couldn't decide on a clear winner. Is that so? Jian Wushuang finally understood. That's also thanks to your last night's advice, which once again motivated my will for battle. If I had been using merely my full force, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to achieve today's result, said Yinlong. It's really because your fundamental abilities are not weaker than Chen Xia. It really doesn't have much to do with what I've said. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Yinlong did not dwell on the issue and directly asked, Junior brother Wushuang, to be honest, the one who has the qualification to be called number one in the outer court is neither Chen Xia nor me. It should have been you. I don't understand, as you've met every criterion to become a core disciple. Why didn't you even take part in the selection? He crossed hands with Jian Wushuang the day before. Even though Jian Wushuang was still not in the same state as him, his abilities were definitely above Yinlong. Yinlong did not even have a chance to retaliate. Abilities like that were truly above him and Chen Xia. He even felt that Jian Wushuang's battle abilities were not below regular experts in Divine Demon Realm. However, having such strong fundamental abilities yet happily remaining as an outer disciple seemed odd to Yinlong. It's really no big deal. I don't like to be leashed, so being an outer disciple is the best choice for me. As for being a core disciple, I have no interest whatsoever, said Jian Wushuang. Is that so? Yin Long wryly smiled. He had such strong desires to become a core disciple that he was willing to sacrifice everything for it, and yet Jian Wushuang did not have the slightest interest. Senior brother Yin Long, please keep what happened last night to yourself. Please don't tell anyone, as I don't want to stand out. It would be wonderful just to peacefully stay in the outer court, said Jian Wushuang. Yin Long nodded and said, understood. Now I finally understand why Elder Wu Jin treats you differently. It's not because you have some unique relationship with him, but to him, your gift and abilities are much more outstanding than most core disciples. Jian Wushuang shrugged without giving a comment. Yin Long very soon left. He had already become a core disciple, hence naturally he would have to move into the inner court. As for Jian Wushuang, he continued staying in the outer court as a humble outer disciple. Although the doubtful voices against him were getting louder, he did not pay attention to them. He only wanted to restore his strength in peace and quiet. 2 months passed by in a flash. Narcissus Island's Divine Mystery Pavilion. The Divine Mystery Pavilion was an agency on Narcissus Island that gathered intelligence and assigned missions to its disciples. There were a huge number of disciples on Narcissus Island. Staying on the island and practicing in isolation was not always good for personal growth. Some real-life experiences were always needed. The missions assigned by Divine Mystery Pavilion played an effective role in building experiences. One day the Circle of Elders' 9th Elder, Wu Jin, arrived at the Divine Mystery Pavilion. 9th Elder, what brings you here? A purple-clad disciplinary elder respectfully walked over. I'm here to see what missions are available in the pavilion this time around, said Wu Jin. Please wait, let me show you all the missions that we're ready to assign. The disciplinary elder walked away and soon brought back a lot of jade slips for Wu Jin. 9th Elder, these are all the missions. Please have a look. The disciplinary elder was extremely polite. Wu Jin nodded his head slightly and started browsing through the missions. There were all kinds of missions prepared for Narcissus Island's disciples in the jade slips. The rather regular missions that were supposed to be assigned to the outer disciples. The harder missions that were suitable for the core disciples. There were even missions for experts among the core disciples to gain experiences. Wu Jin browsed through more than 10 missions. Although there were various levels of difficulty, he could not find one that caught his eyes. Until he saw the 13th mission. Wu Jin's eyes brightened up. Oh, this mission is at Luogu territory? Luogu territory? Do you mean the mission to the Mu clan? The disciplinary elder came over. Yes, Mu clan. Wu Jin nodded. This mission is quite unique and tricky. We are planning to send a few core disciples who have reached the divine demon realm, but it still feels insufficient, said the disciplinary elder. Wu Jin nodded and smiled. It's a little insufficient. How about this? Get one more person. Bring Jian Wushuang, it should suffice. Jian Wushuang. The disciplinary elder doubted. He knew all the core disciples on Narcissus Island, including the 2 who had recently been selected, Yin Long and Chen Xia. However, Jian Wushuang was not within his knowledge. This Jian Wushuang is currently in the outer court, said Wu Jin. The disciplinary elder was startled. Outer court? An outer disciple? 9th Elder, are you suggesting to let an outer disciple join Xiao Heng's group of 5 to carry out the mission? What? It isn't allowed? Wu Jin glanced over. Oh and no. Since the 9th Elder has given the order, of course, it is doable. The disciplinary elder awkwardly smiled. An elder from the Circle of Elders was considered extremely powerful on Narcissus Island. As it was only a mission, of course, Wu Jin's request was not a problem. Well then, go ahead and organize it. Wu Jin waved his hand. Yes. Nodded the disciplinary elder. Letting an outer disciple join a mission with 5 core disciples who have reached divine demon realm at Luogu territory, what is happening here? The purple-clad disciplinary elder felt the situation to be very strange but went on to organize it anyway. Seeing the disciplinary elder leaving, Wu Jin mysteriously smiled. That kid has been lying low since he arrived on the island, never offending, crossing hands with anyone, or showing his true abilities. It would be such a waste to let him permanently relax like that. How could I let him be? Chapter 2373. Mission assigned. A few figures swept across the void above the outer court. Senior brothers, this is the outer court. As for junior brother Wushuang, he lives over there, said Yin Long humbly as he pointed at Jian Wushuang's courtyard. There were 5 men following behind Yin Long. All 5 of them were projecting a powerful aura and were all at the level of chaotic divine demon. The leader amongst them was a jade-faced handsome young man. The young man was Xiao Heng, an outstanding genius among the core disciples. Xiao Heng enjoyed a rather high reputation on Narcissus Island, be it in the outer court or inner court. There were even rumors about the prospect of him getting into the ranks of the 12 minor kings, should his progress continue. The 12 minor kings were officially recognized as Wuxia territory's top 12 demons. Well, wait here, go bring him, said Xiao Heng frostily. Aye. Yin Long nodded and headed towards Jian Wushuang's courtyard. After he left, Senior brother Xiao Heng, are we really bringing an outer disciple to carry out our mission? One of the core disciples could not hold back his curiosity. Yeah. There are a lot of outer disciples at the outer court and many are in Divine Demon Realm or half-step Divine Demon Realm, but not many from their younger generation are up to par. As for Yin Long and Chen Xia, they just came in from the outer court and were considered their strongest younger disciples. However, they are merely at the peak stage chaotic realm and their battle abilities are SOSO, totally not up to standards. As for that Jian Wushuang, I heard he is younger than Yin Long and compared to him has only joined Narcissus Island for a very short time. What kind of capabilities can he possibly possess? Another core disciple showed his disdain. Core disciples were generally scornful toward outer disciples as they had always acted with superiority when facing outer disciples. Although Yin Long had already become a core disciple, he was new and joined the inner court through the outer court selection. Hence, those few core disciples did not look too highly upon him either. Such was their attitude towards Yin Long, not to mention Jian Wushuang. Stop right there. Xiao Heng's expression turned cold. It's not my wish to carry out a mission with an outer disciple, but this mission was assigned directly from the Divine Mystery Pavilion. Furthermore, the list of 6 has been confirmed. All 5 of us and that Jian Wushuang is on it, who are we to change it? Besides, Jian Wushuang was handpicked by Elder Wu Jian to carry out the mission with us. Elder Wu Jian? The rest of the core disciples' hearts stirred a little. We have already heard that Elder Wu Jian gave his elder's token to an outer disciple. He even gave him a part of his elixirs and resources. Could that person be Jian Wushuang? It has to be him. Alright, so he used his status to give Jian Wushuang special privilege higher than core disciples. Now he wants to let him gain some experiences, hence making us his companions. Who does Elder Wu Jian think we are? Are we bodyguards or escorts? The core disciples were rather angry. However angry as they were, they dared not say anything. After all, with Elder Wu Jian's status as an elder from the Circle of Elders, they were in no position to confront him, even if they were Narcissus Island's geniuses. Yin Long had brought Jian Wushuang over to their void as they were chatting. Senior brothers, this is junior brother Jian Wushuang. Yin Long introduced. Jian Wushuang, a pleasure to meet you. What brings you to find me? Jian Wushuang was showing quite a bit of humility as well. Xiao Heng gave Jian Wushuang a frosty glance. So, you are Jian Wushuang? Your hiding methods are pretty good, I can't even tell what realm you possess. Haha, merely parlor tricks. Jian Wushuang smiled mildly and immediately took the initiative to project his divine energy. As soon as he projected, Xiao Heng and the rest of the 5 core disciples felt uneasy. Middle stage chaotic realm. It is so. Asking us core disciples in Divine Demon Realm to carry out a mission with an outer disciple with only middle stage chaotic realm? Elder Wu Jian really has some imagination. What is this? They were very unhappy from the bottom of their hearts and highly dissatisfied with the realm Jian Wushuang was in. In fact, they were lucky to have seen that. If they had met Jian Wushuang 2 months earlier, he would only be in the early stage chaotic realm. Coincidentally, Jian Wushuang had just reached another breakthrough fairly recently. Jian Wushuang, said Xiao Heng coldly. Normally, if he were to be a bit more polite, he should have called him junior brother Jian Wushuang. However, he addressed him only by his name. The 5 of us came here because of a mission assigned directly from the Divine Mystery Pavilion. They have named the 5 of us and you to carry out the mission. So come with us, said Xiao Heng directly. Mission? The Divine Mystery Pavilion assigned me to carry out a mission with 5 Divine Demon Realm core disciples? Jian Wushuang's face changed and he even felt that the mission was rather odd. However, he soon realized that it was most probably Wu Jian's doing. So, he doesn't want me to be in tranquility and is forcing me to stand out. Jian Wushuang smiled. He could understand that. Wu Jian personally inducted him into Narcissus Island and gave him his elder's token, a treatment much more privileged than core disciples. Although Wu Jian did not break any rules on Narcissus Island, it did attract a lot of gossip behind him which created some pressure for Wu Jian himself. In a situation such as this, Wu Jian naturally hoped that Jian Wushuang could show a little of his true colors. However, Jian Wushuang had been lying low which forced Wu Jian to think of such a method. Senior brother Xiao Heng, All of you came searching for junior brother Wuxia to carry out a mission with you? Yinlong was also surprised. He did not realize the reason why Xiaoheng and his company wanted to find Jian Wuxia. Jian Wuxia, come with us, said Xiaoheng straightforwardly. Senior brother Xiaoheng, this is the first time junior brother Wuxia goes for a mission since he arrived at Narcissus Island. Would you mind giving him some time to prepare? Said Yinlong humbly. Prepare? What would a guy in the middle stage chaotic realm prepare for? Do you really mean that all 5 of us should stand here and wait for him? Xiaoheng's voice was icy cold. Yinlong's expression changed. There's no need to prepare, we can take off now. Jian Wuxia smiled. Junior brother Wuxia. Yinlong looked over. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Jian Wuxia mildly smiled and went off with Xiaoheng in the lot. Chapter 2374. Luogu Territory. He left Narcissus Island with the 5 core disciples and all 6 of them flew through the void together. Junior brothers, I can now tell you about the mission since we have left Narcissus Island, said Xiaoheng. The rest of them including Jian Wuxia were listening with full attentiveness. Just like Jian Wuxia, nobody knew anything about the mission. Xiaoheng only told the 4 core disciples that they were going on a mission together, but nothing about the mission details. This mission is rather unusual as it will be full of danger because it's located in Luogu Territory, said Xiaoheng solemnly. Luogu Territory? The 4 core disciples exclaimed in surprise. Even Jian Wuxia got slightly caught off guard when he heard Luogu Territory. Within the Wuxia wilderness, there were many areas separated into counties with each covering a rather vast land. However, other than a few less accessible areas in the Wuxia wilderness, there was only one area that was not separated by counties but simply called a territory. That area was Luogu Territory. Although it's called a territory, Luogu Territory was a rather small land area which was even smaller than a regular commandery and located within the Wuxia wilderness. However, this small piece of land had a terrifyingly big reputation within the Wuxia wilderness. Luogu Territory was infamous for its bloodshed and chaos. It was the most violent and chaotic place within Wuxia wilderness. Various organized powers intertwined with each other in full complexity. Experts of many kinds from lone wolves wanted by various sects and clans to extremely atrocious criminals with varying backgrounds were all gathered there. It was a generally acknowledged no man's land. As long as one had the ability, he could do anything he wanted in Luogu Territory and nobody could do anything about it. Even various top sects and clans in the Wuxia wilderness such as Narcissus Island and the Great Compassion sect could not do much. You should all know what kind of place Luogu Territory is by now. I just wanted to tell all of you that it is a lawless place and they wouldn't hesitate to do what they want. While carrying out missions at other places, we could state our identities as core disciples of Narcissus Island when we run into danger and people would usually give us face by going easy on us. However, that is not the case in Luogu Territory at all. Many people in Luogu Territory are desperate fugitives actively being pursued by various sects and clans. Therefore, if we expose ourselves as Narcissus Island disciples, it could further provoke their intentions to kill us, however they can. Xiaoheng continued after a short pause. Our mission is to rescue someone from Luogu Territory. Rescue mission? Jian Wuxia was slightly surprised. Mu clan of Qinling, you have probably heard of them? Xiaoheng looked around. One of the core disciples immediately answered, Mu clan? I do. That's a big clan that carries a long legacy and also one of the overlords of Wuxia wilderness. Although they are not a sect but only a clan, the Mu clan of Qinling's foundation is definitely stronger than most regular sections. Even when compared to Narcissus Island, we're slightly stronger than them but not by much. What? Is this mission related to the Mu clan? Xiaoheng nodded. Yes, it is. This mission is a favor for the Mu clan. The story can be traced back to more than 10 years ago when their second miss was abducted by some mysterious experts and has disappeared since. Although the Mu clan did everything to investigate, they could not find any information about her. Time quickly flew by and everyone in the Mu clan assumed that the second miss had died. However, someone unexpectedly had seen her in Luogu Territory not so long ago and brought the news to the Mu clan. Mu clan certainly took it seriously, but they had run into some internal issues and couldn't send experts over in a short time. Hence they asked Narcissus Island for help. And what we need to do is to get to Luogu Territory, find this Mu clan's second miss, and then bring her back to Narcissus Island. The 4 core disciples raised their eyebrows after hearing the story. That's it? Doesn't sound too difficult. Of course it isn't hard for us, but for some people, it's harder than reaching the heavens. At that point, The four core disciples nonchalantly took a glance at Jian Wushuang without hiding their feeling of disdain at all. Jian Wushuang did not care about how they perceived him at all, but he sensed that the mission was not as easy as they thought after listening to Xiao Heng's briefing. After all, if the mission was so easy that a few core disciples in the divine demon realm could handle, why would the Mu clan not send out their experts to do it? Even with the clan's internal issues taken out of consideration, as one of Wuxia wilderness overlords who was almost comparable to Narcissus Island, sending out a few divine demon realm experts was nothing to them. However, the Mu clan refused to take matters in their own hands. Perhaps there was something fishy about it. Anyhow, let's get to Luogu territory and decide what to do when we see the so-called Second Mississippi. Jian Wushuang smiled mildly. The six of them traveled at full speed and only arrived at Luogu territory after half a month. Luogu territory, though it was named a territory, its area was very small as it only consisted of 9 cities. Together they were the infamous 9 cities of Luogu. The 9 cities of Luogu were each led by a top-tier expert. According to rumors, the weakest among the governors was a peak-stage divine demon who was leading an army of first- and second-class divine demons. As for third-class divine demons, there were countless of them. What it meant was that their city's power was comparable to some third- or second-tier sects in the Wuxia wilderness. There were a total of 9 such cities in the Luogu territory. If they combined their forces, the total power of their experts in divine demon realm could even defeat the biggest sect in Wuxia wilderness, Great Compassion sect. Furthermore, it was said there were quite a few super experts hiding in Luogu territory with abilities that were above the divine demon realm. They were the actual players who were in charge of the Luogu territory. It was because of the existence of those hidden super experts and the powerful 9 cities that Luogu territory was feared by many sects of Wuxia wilderness. They were the reason Luogu territory never ceased to survive. Without enough power, Luogu territory would have been stampeded out of existence by all the big sects in Wuxia wilderness. Chapter 2375, 100 Flowers Tower, Qingxiao City, one of the 9 cities of Luogu territory. 100 Flowers Tower was the most luxurious and busiest place in Jianghu City. It was always lit up regardless of day or night. 100 Flowers Tower covered a large area, and yet it was always fully occupied by a massive number of practitioners, not less than 1,000 people. All of them gathered in groups of 2 or 3 with beautiful ladies as their drinking companions. There were female dancers dancing on the high stage in front. 100 Flowers Tower was a place of drinking and merrymaking for all the practitioners. A brothel would be how people from the mortal world would call it. I didn't expect this place to be so heated up. Xiao Heng, Jian Wushuang, and the rest of the group were also inside the tower. They took up a table while taking in the sight around them. It's quite normal. Luogu territory is known to be a messy place filled with outlaws of every sort. Naturally, there are many who are interested in sex, and the 100 Flowers Tower is the sort of place built to satisfy these people. From the looks of it, 100 Flowers Tower's annual income must be astronomical, said Xiao Heng. The second miss of the Mu clan that we're looking for, her real name is Mu Xiaoxiao. According to intelligence, she is right here in 100 Flowers Tower. Since she is here, does that mean she has become? One of the core disciples could not help but ask. However, he swallowed his last words. Xiao Heng frowned as well and answered, no matter what she has become, our mission here is to bring her back to the sect, and that's it. Of course, we need to locate her first. The core disciples nodded their heads. Right at that moment, gentlemen, a booming voice was resonating in every corner of 100 Flowers Tower with the help of divine power. All patrons in 100 Flowers Tower who were drinking, merrymaking, chatting and laughing suddenly quieted down. They moved their focus onto a woman wearing a silver robe in the middle of the tower. Gentlemen, we're reaching the most important part of the night. Miss Xiao is coming out soon, please keep your eyes open. The silver-robed lady smiled. As soon as she finished her speech, the entire tower was filled with continuously thunderous roars, excited screams and frenzied shouts. Jian Wushuang and the rest sitting at the table noticed the atmosphere immediately changing into an extremely passionate one. Miss Xiao. Xiao Heng frowned and pointed at someone on the side. You come over. It was 100 Flowers Tower waiter dressed in black which Xiao Heng was pointed at. As soon as he heard him, the waiter flatteringly went over. Xiao Heng first took out a few elixir pills from his interspatial ring and passed them to the waiter in black. His eyes lit up when the latter took a glance at them. I wonder how can I be of service to you, young masters? The waiter smiled extremely respectfully. Let me ask you, who is that Miss Xiao the lady mentioned just now? Why did people all go nuts hearing her name? Asked Xiao Heng. The waiter in black laughed out loud. That's all you want to know. I see that it's your first time being in 100 Flowers Tower. It might even be your first time being in Qingxiao City. Otherwise, it's impossible that you've never heard of Miss Xiao. She is the #1 dancer in Luogu territory. She is also our centerpiece at 100 Flowers Tower. Every time Miss Xiao appears, she would attract countless practitioners to come, and there is no shortage of powerful ones or those with a deep background. Please look over there, gentlemen. Jian Wushuang and his company followed the direction that the waiter was pointing at and immediately saw a beast-like man who was carrying a battle axe on his back. The beast man occupied a table all by himself and nobody dared to sit near him either. He was only drinking quietly, yet nobody seemed to have the guts to disturb him. First-class divine demon? He is unusually powerful too. Jian Wushuang's pupils shrunk slightly. He could tell with one glance that the beast-like man was an extremely powerful first-class divine demon. However, when it came to pressure, this man gave a bit more pressure than Wu Jian toward Jian Wushuang. His name is Qing Mo, an expert of great fame in the Luogu territory. His ability is among the top-tier first-class divine demons and is already very close to the level of the 9 cities' governors. Moreover, he is an extremely arrogant man. He doesn't like to befriend anyone, but since he saw Miss Xiao for the first time half a year ago, he has been sitting here daily, just to wait for Miss Xiao's appearance. He is simply sitting there and not interacting with anyone or even showing interest in other dancers and beauties here. He is a very strange one, said the waiter in black. Jian Wushuang, Xiaoheng and the rest began to sigh secretly. Now look over there, look at that private room on the 2nd floor. There is a restriction for that room. You can't see the insides, but people there can clearly see everything outside. The one in that private room is the eldest young master of Qingxiao City, whose father is the governor and a peak-stage divine demon. And those gentlemen over there are from the Su clan, one of the 3 big clans of Qingxiao City. The waiter in black kept on introducing them to the patrons who were major figures not only in Qingxiao City but also in the entire Luogu territory. All these people, they're here just for Miss Xiao, said the waiter. All these experts, with many of them being young masters of extremely huge backgrounds, are waiting like dogs just for that Xiao? Is she really that special? Xiaoheng frowned. Whether she is that special, you'll see it in a moment. Oh, there she is, said the waiter in black. As he said that, Xiaoheng, Jian Wushuang and the rest of their group looked ahead right away. The 100 Flowers Tower at that moment broke into a passionate roar. Countless practitioners had their eyes burning with fire and craze. All they could see right then was only one person. It was the woman who slowly floated down from the 2nd floor, like an angel in a painting. The woman was so slender and perfectly shaped that no one could find any flaws in her. The most stunning aspect was her aura. It was an unusually unique aura, the kind of charm that was bone deep. Every move she made could make one forever dream about her. She floated and landed on the high stage at the center. Only then did she slowly raise her head, but her face was covered with a veil and nobody could see her actual face. However, just the aura she projected and the way she moved could inspire the wildest fantasies in countless practitioners' minds. This woman, Xiaoheng looked quietly at the woman on the high stage and could only helplessly say, although her body and aura were flawless, her face is covered after all. I can't see her face. Besides, even if she is devastatingly beautiful, how is it possible that she could make so many practitioners go crazy about her? Chapter 2376. Drunk in the heart. Xiaoheng has to admit that the woman on stage was truly attractive, but to mesmerize so many practitioners and experts into going crazy over her, there must be something more to her. Oh, don't be hasty, just watch. The waiter in black smiled. After the momentary excitement, the entire 100 Flowers Tower quieted down. A pipa started ringing lightly as the woman in a veil started her dance on stage. Her figure was very enchanting and her dance was so beautiful it made people's hearts intoxicated. All of her moves were unforgettable. Every move she made was so perfect and flawless. Everyone's heartstrings were plucked with her every turn. Nobody could divert his eyesight away from her. Even her eyes, as if they could speak, were giving looks that could put everyone in an ecstatic state. 100 Flowers Tower was in dead silence. An absolute deadly silence except for the continuous pipa music. Everybody had lost themselves and forgotten about everything. All that was left in their eyes and minds was the woman who was dancing like a butterfly on the high stage. Everyone was completely intoxicated by her perfect dance moves and were unable to pull themselves together. At Jian Wushuang's table, other than him, Xiaoheng and the rest of the core disciples could not help but stand up. Their eyes were deadlocked to the woman on the high stage. Their eyesights were completely attracted, and their expressions were idle. Not only them but everyone in the room. For example, the beast-like man who had a battle axe on his back. An honorable first-class divine demon like him could not help but to completely dumbfoundedly immerse himself at the moment. That moment went on for a very, very long time. Finally, the pipa sounded gradually faded away and the woman on the high stage slowly stopped her movements. As the music ended, everybody was still deeply submerged in the atmosphere, unable to snap out of it for a long time. The woman on stage bowed slightly while her extremely pretty, absolutely seductive and lively eyes were scanning through everyone in the room. Anyone who had met her eyes would immediately fall into a passionate daze. Some tried to keep their demeanor, but their hearts were surging in waves. The beast-like man Xiaoheng and the rest were all like that. The woman was very satisfied. However, when her eyes scanned across Jian Wushuang, she felt slightly surprised. She noticed that there was no passion or craze in Jian Wushuang's eyes when he looked at her. He was not affected at all. This man is interesting. She looked at him for a split moment before immediately retracted her attention. She very soon turned around and went back to her room. Only when she had completely disappeared from everyone's sight that the 100 Flowers Tower began to resume its usual noisiness again. There were countless screams and shouts around the space, exclaiming the heavenly sight that they just witnessed. The woman's dancing was just too beautiful. Before that kind of dance posture, nobody could resist her seduction. Gentlemen, what do you think? The waiter in black who was standing next to Jian Wushuang's table asked with a smile. Now I know why so many people are crazy about Miss Xiao. The dance was truly very beautiful, said Xiaoheng with his face clearly still mesmerized. Obviously what he witnessed had fundamentally stunned him. There was even a trace of yearning and craze in him. It was the kind of yearning and craze towards that woman. Not only him but the other 4 core disciples as well. Only Jian Wushuang could still keep calm after watching such a dance. However, he had to admit that the woman's dancing was truly attractive and flawless. Oh yes, where did Miss Xiao go? Asked Xiaoheng. The waiter smiled. Back to her own room, of course. Miss Xiao is different from regular dancers. She doesn't usually show herself other than dancing once in a while. If you gentlemen would like to meet her, there's only one way to do it. You'll have to pay a small price, write a visitation request, and send it to her through our employees here in 100 Flowers Tower. As for the content, it's up to you what you want to write. We'll guarantee that Miss Xiao will be the only one who'll read it. It's up to Miss Xiao herself whether she wants to meet you after that. And if Miss Xiao agreed to meet you, you can make requests such as taking off her veil and see her face or perform a private dance for you. They're all allowed. Only to see her face or ask her to dance. Is that it? One of the core disciples frowned. The waiter smiled. Of course, what else is there to do? Let me remind you gentlemen that Miss Xiao is only a dancer. She only sells her art and not her body. This is the rule that nobody can break. There are countless experts in Luogu territory who yearn to spend a night with Miss Xiao, but those are just wishful thinking as nobody could pull it off. Even if they're top-class experts or from a huge background, they couldn't ask for the impossible. Do know that Miss Xiao is the face of 100 Flowers Tower and our ability is way above the 9 cities' governors. The master of 100 Flowers Tower is one of the few super experts that are hiding in Luogu territory who are even stronger than those in Divine Demon Realm. Tell me who would dare to push their luck here with a background such as his. Xiaoheng and the others understood the situation while listening to that, but at the same time felt even crazier over Miss Xiao. Selling her art but not her body, that just made her even more attractive. Gentlemen, would you like to send a visitation request? Asked the waiter in black. Sure, of course we will. But what's the small price for sending the visitation request? Asked Xiaoheng. It's simple, just 10 golden spirit elixir, said the waiter in black. What? Xiaoheng and his company were stunned. Golden Spirit Elixir was an elixir pill that Divine Demon Realm experts used to upgrade their ability. It was quite an important item for them. Xiaoheng and the other Narcissus Island core disciples could merely receive 30 Golden Spirit Elixir every year from the sect. However, it was the cost of sending a visitation request over here. It was hard to deny that was an expensive price to pay for a visitation request. It's true that it's a high price to pay, but even so there are so many people in Qingxiao City sending visitation requests non-stop, just to see Miss Xiao's beautiful face. However, there had only been a very few lucky ones who actually got to meet her. If you gentlemen wish to, you could give it a try. The waiter in black smiled. Chapter 2377. Miss Xiao Xiaoheng and the 4 core disciples stared back and forth at each other. If my guess is right, our target for this mission is probably this Miss Xiao. If we want to bring Miss Xiao back to Narcissus Island, we must find a way to contact her, and sending a visitation request is probably the only way. Xiaoheng spoke to the 4 core disciples while lowering his voice. Yes, we can each contribute some golden spirit elixir pills to make a total of 10, said one of them. The few of them had reached an agreement very quickly. Throughout their discussion, they did not once ask for Jian Wushuang's opinion. It was until the moment for the contribution of golden spirit elixir that Xiaoheng looked over at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, we need 10 golden spirit elixir. Why don't you contribute 3? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. 3? I alone had to contribute 3 and the 5 of you only contribute 7? One of the core disciples angrily stared at him. What, are you not convinced? Kid, make sure you know your place here. If it wasn't for Elder Wu Jin, a mere outer disciple like you wouldn't be qualified to join the mission. Now we're asking you to contribute 3 pills. If you run into trouble in the future we could help you a little, otherwise. Furthermore, don't think that I didn't know you could get a lot more resources than us core disciples because of Elder Wu Jin, even though you're an outer disciple. It's just 3 pills, you don't even need it for the chaotic realm. So, take it out already. The core disciples including Xiaoheng spoke in a forceful tone. Jian Wushuang's lips curved upwards after listening to what they had said and taken out 3 golden spirit elixir pills with the flip of his wrist. It's just 3 pills, here it is. At least you know your place, kid. Xiaoheng and the rest sneered. However, they did not know that Jian Wushuang was quietly sneering too. As soon as he received the mission, he had a feeling that it would not be a regular mission. There were no guarantees that they would not run into some big troubles. At this time he was actually observing their attitude towards him to decide how to reciprocate. Now all 5 core disciples were obviously treating him like dirt, even taking advantage of his resources. Therefore, if they really were in danger, he would not care about the sentiments of being under the same sect and would not be very gentlemanlike when he made his move. We have 10 golden spirit elixirs now, how should we send the visitation request? Xiaoheng once again summoned the waiter. You can just write down the things you want to say in a token, seal it and give it to me. I will have someone pass it to Miss Xiao unscathed, said the waiter in black. Sure. Xiaoheng nodded, took out a token right away, wrote a word on it before sealing it, and passed it to the waiter together with 10 golden spirit elixirs. Please wait, gentlemen. You'll now submit your visitation request. The waiter in black went up to the 2nd floor with the request. Senior brother Xiaoheng, what did you write in the token? Asked one of the core disciples curiously. Just a very simple mu, said Xiaoheng. Mu. The core disciples paused before understanding right away. If Miss Xiao really was the Mu clan's second miss which they were looking for, she would then understand their visitation reasons and will probably meet them upon seeing the word mu. An hour passed in the blink of an eye. 100 Flowers Tower was still extremely lively. Like Xiaoheng, a lot of practitioners had submitted their visitation requests with 10 golden spirit elixir pills as its price and were all waiting for her answer. Everybody was hoping the content of their visitation requests could move Miss Xiao into meeting them. At that moment, the waiter in black who submitted the visitation request for Xiaoheng came back to them. Gentlemen, Miss Xiao invites you to gather upstairs, said the smiling waiter. Oh. Xiaoheng's eyes lit up. The other 4 core disciples immediately became excited as well. They were excited not because they were finally meeting the target of their mission, but like everybody else in 100 Flowers Tower, they genuinely yearned to meet Miss Xiao alone or to watch her dance in close proximity. In fact, they were all conquered by Miss Xiao's dancing. Gentlemen, this way. The waiter in black led them upstairs. When the rest of the patrons saw them, they were all very disappointed. They all wished that Miss Xiao could meet them, but she obviously accepted some other people now. Sai, let's go. Till next time. I've already submitted 9 times but couldn't get through once. 9 times is nothing, I've submitted 13 times. The practitioners all left while cursing under their breaths. Everybody knew of Miss Xiao's rules as she would only accept 1 visitation each time. Now that Miss Xiao had chosen to meet Xiaoheng, they had no business staying back any longer. The 2nd floor in a private room. The waiter in black led Xiaoheng and his group to the door of her room before signaling them to go in by themselves. Xiaoheng and his company, including Jian Wushuang, did not hesitate and stepped inside. The room was delicately decorated. There was a round table in the middle and a partition screen next to the table. Miss Xiao was sitting behind it at that moment. When Jian Wushuang and the rest entered the room, Xiao Li, you can go downstairs, instructed Xiao. Yes. The obedient maid next to her left immediately as well. There was no one else in the room other than the 6 people from Narcissus Island and Xiao. Xiao stood up slowly and walked out from the partition screen. Greetings, young masters. She bowed slightly. Miss Xiao, you don't need to be too courteous, said Xiaoheng immediately, clearly trying very hard to suppress his passion. Although that was their first meeting, Xiaoheng had already been completely conquered by this heavenly beauty. Miss Xiao has seen the visitation request that we've sent and even invited us here. I take that you've understood the reason we're here, said Xiaoheng humbly while acting as a sophisticated gentleman. Mmhm. Gentlemen, are you from my Mu clan family? Miss Xiao raised her head with her beautiful and attractive eyes. No, but we were sent by the Mu clan to bring Miss Xiao back, said Xiaoheng directly. So I guess the Mu clan has finally found me? Miss Xiao's body trembled as luminous tears discreetly gliding out of her eyes. Finally, Miss Xiao was trembling with excitement, giving the rest an impression of her gentleness and tenderness. Chapter 2378. The Formidable One. Seeing the changes in Miss Xiao's expression, Xiaoheng was touched as his affection for her rose from the bottom of his heart. Such feelings were understandable. According to the information they had received, Miss Xiao was abducted a long time ago. Approximately more than 10 years ago. No one knew how much a weak woman like her had suffered in the past 10 years, but they knew it must be no common suffering for her to make it to the preeminent spot that she was at the 100 Flowers Tower without a family. Miss Xiao, we will take you back to the Mu clan, said Xiaoheng. Miss Xiao shook her head repeatedly. And no, I can't go back. I can't go back. Masters, this might be the first time all of you came to the Qingxiao city or even to the Luogu territory, so you don't know how terrifying the 100 Flowers Tower is. Now that I am very useful to them, they'll never let me go. They'll never be able to leave. Humph, we don't need their consent to take you away. Xiaoheng sneered. The 4 core disciples that were seated next to him all had a cold and fearsome look. The 100 Flowers Tower might have an intimidating presence in the Luogu territory, as the hearsay was that they were backed by some powerhouse above the divine demon realm. However, Xiaoheng and his people were from Narcissus Island and were notably arrogant and imperious, as they relied on their unshakable sect. The 100 Flowers Tower was just a nobody in their eyes. Miss Xiao, you can just come with us without worries. We'll definitely guarantee your safety and no one will be able to hurt you again, said Xiaoheng solemnly, and the fire in his eyes could no longer be hidden. The 4 core disciples next to him had the same thoughts, as they had been so enthralled by Miss Xiao that they were no longer bound by the sect's mission. Jianghu noticed that and his pupils shrank slightly. Although she didn't use any means, this woman's emanating subtle charm from within her is enough to mess up people's minds. No ordinary chaotic divine demon could withstand this kind of temptation, murmured Jianghu. At least, people like Xiaoheng and his disciples were unable to resist her temptations. At times like these, let alone the 100 Flowers Tower, even if they were to face the Great Compassion sect, Xiaoheng and his people would have gone all out to help Miss Xiao to escape. Shower is touched from the kindness shown by all of you masters, but the 100 Flowers Tower isn't to be taken lightly. There were people who wanted to rescue me. Some were even powerful and capable, but they were all trampled and killed by the 100 Flowers Tower's powerhouses in the end. Although all of you are skillful masters, I'm afraid it's still not enough to fight against the 100 Flowers Tower, said Miss Xiao. Xiaoheng and his people frowned. Miss Xiao pondered for a moment and lifted her head again. If you really want to save me, there may be a chance. Miss Xiao, quickly tell us about it. Xiaoheng immediately looked over. It's as such, I've heard from the employees of 100 Flowers Tower that there will be a huge auction in Qingxiao City 10 days later. This large-scale auction will attract many powerful people. The powerful people in Qingxiao City will be attending the auction, including those from the divine demon realm of 100 Flowers Tower. Of all times, 100 Flowers Tower should be weakly guarded, and if masters act on that day, there might be a chance for success. Besides, I've lived here for so many years and I've made some friends. I can find a way to remove some of the strong guards. We'll have a greater chance of success if we work in collusion from both the inside and outside, said Miss Xiao. Both Xiaoheng and the core disciples' eyes lit up. All right, that sounds like a plan. We'll do it 10 days later when the auction begins. We'll work in tandem with Miss Xiao to carry out the plan, said Xiaoheng before clasped both of his hands together. The 4 core disciples also nodded their heads in agreement. They all thought that the plan was feasible. In that case, Shower will be here waiting for all of you masters to arrive after 10 days, said Miss Xiao softly with her soft and melodious voice, putting them in a trance. Miss Xiao, don't worry. They'll definitely take you away from here in 10 days' time. Xiaoheng promised. They went through the details. Xiaoheng and his people then left after getting some information about the guards of the 100 Flowers Tower from Miss Xiao. During their departure, Miss Xiao glanced at Jian Wushuang half-heartedly, and Jian Wushuang also returned her gaze. Both eyes met momentarily. The corner of Jian Wushuang's lips raised into a faint smile, and Miss Xiao caught the trace of banter in his smile. After Jian Wushuang, Xiao Heng, and the others left, little Li, the maid who left, had returned to the room and walked up to Miss Xiao. "Have you found out the identities of these people?" asked Miss Xiao casually, still looking so beautiful. "I found out that these 6 people are all from Narcissus Island. Among them, the 5 divine demon realms are all core disciples of Narcissus Island. The leader, Xiao Heng, is a genius but still falls short compared with the 12 minor kings. Their strengths are just average. As for the last person, he is just an outer disciple of Narcissus Island and hasn't been long since he joined Narcissus Island. I haven't got any detailed information about him as he is just a chaotic realm. There's nothing you should worry about," said little Li. Miss Xiao's gaze turned as she gave little Li a sidelong glance. The gentleness in her eyes was long gone and chilliness took its place. "No need to worry? I've told you to never underestimate the opponent, even if the other party is just a mortal or even a baby. Once you take them lightly, it's very likely that you will be doomed in their hands." "He'll remember your teachings, miss?" Little Li shuddered and immediately lowered her head. Miss Xiao's gaze softened gradually. "Let me tell you this, among the 6 people just now, the 5 core disciples of Narcissus Island including Xiao Heng, are indeed just a bunch of fools. The chaotic realm that you overlooked is the most terrifying person. His mind is steady and has attained imperturbability. Other people, including some extremely powerful divine demon realms, even if they are first-class divine demons or peak divine demons, their minds will be affected to a certain extent as long as they stand before me. But he didn't even for the slightest bit. I was secretly observing him. His mind was as calm as water since the beginning and he was not shaken by the slightest. Such a person is scarce in the entire Wuxia wilderness. I even suspected that he is an old monster that has lived for hundreds of thousands of years in disguise, hiding his aura. Moreover, he gave away a dangerous kind of feeling when he stood in front of me, making me subconsciously think not to provoke him. How can I not be wary of such a person? Chapter 2379. Not an easy one. A cold sweat broke out profusely from little Li as she stood aside, listening. She never thought that among the few people she met just now, the most inconspicuous person, someone that she said to ignore, turned out to be the most terrifying among all. He was so appalling that even Miss Xiao was fearful of him. She knew very well of Miss Xiao's capabilities. She could not fathom how abominably a person could be to leave a trace of fear in Miss Xiao, yet she almost dismissed his presence. 10 days later, these people from Narcissus Island will break into 100 Flowers Tower, and at that time, we will fully cooperate with them. "I assume that you should know what to do?" said Miss Xiao. "I know what to do." Little Li nodded slightly. "Go and prepare for it. You have to be more careful this time," Miss Xiao reminded. "Yes." Little Li nodded again and immediately went away. Soon Miss Xiao was the only person left in the room. Her face was still covered with a veil while her expression had somewhat returned to its calm and relaxed state. She casually sat down, looking charming and mesmerizing as usual with her every move. "Interesting. It's been a long time since I met such an interesting person." After leaving 100 Flowers Tower, Jian Wushuang and the others returned to the inn where they had stayed. In the room. "Senior brother Xiao Heng, I have already checked it out. It's exactly like what Miss Xiao said. There will indeed be a large auction at Qingxiao City in 10 days. It's estimated that more than 90% of the powerhouse in Qingxiao City will gather there, and 100 Flower Tower will be much more empty and quiet than ever," a core disciple reported after walking in. "Just as Miss Xiao said, our best time to act is 10 days later." Xiao Heng clasped his hands tightly. The other core disciples were also beaming in excitement. They had obviously made up their minds to act in 10 days' time. At that moment, Jian Wushuang's voice suddenly rang in their ears. "Senior brothers, I have something to say." Jian Wushuang remained humble. He was just an outer disciple, which Xiao Heng and the others thought very little of him. They had never considered and bothered to ask about his opinions. They had never gotten Jian Wushuang's consent over the plan to barge into the 100 Flowers Tower after 10 days. They had completely ignored the presence of Jian Wushuang since a long time ago, so it was normal. After all, in their eyes, Jian Wushuang was merely in the middle stage chaotic realm. He had a good relationship with Elder Wu Jin and was given a chance to participate in the mission. They never thought that he would be able to contribute much, more like someone that would drag their feet. "Jian Wushuang, what do you want to say?" Xiao Heng gave Jian Wushuang a contemptuous glance with an elevated and haughty posture. Jian Wushuang was not annoyed but said instead, "I would like to advise senior brothers about Miss Xiao. I think it is better to consider the rescue plan again because..." Miss Xiao, she is not as innocent and simple as she seems to like. Xiaoheng yelled, nonsense. Of course, Miss Xiao is not someone average. She is one of a kind in this world. I have never seen such a person throughout my years of cultivation journey thus far. Speaking of that, Xiaoheng's gazes became extremely enthusiastic, and so were the 4 disciples next to him. Miss Xiao had completely held them spellbound that all they wanted to do was to bring Miss Xiao out and away from the 100 Flowers Tower. They were fearless even if their lives were threatened. Moreover, all of them had a trace of desire in them, including Xiaoheng. They longed to possess Miss Xiao. They were willing to give their all and even to go through fire for that. Jian Wushuang, you don't have to take action in the mission 10 days later if you are cowardly and afraid. All you have to do is to help us with the movements. Look out around the area from within the 100 Flowers Tower. The 5 of us will handle the rest, said Xiaoheng. Yes, a chaotic realm like you can't help much. Stay in 100 Flowers Tower and keep an eye on the surroundings for us, don't you drag us down. The other 4 core disciples agreed. Jian Wushuang could only shake his head and helplessly smiled. Alright, I've said what should be said and given my advice. If you insist on doing this, I can't stop you, Jian Wushuang murmured lightly. He gave his advice because Xiaoheng and the disciples were pupils from the same master like him, but they never took him seriously and kept looking down at him. So Jian Wushuang did not bother to say any more. Besides, Jian Wushuang didn't think highly of those 5 people and couldn't be bothered about their life and death. Go and get ready. 10 days later we will leave here for the mission. You are allowed to move around freely during these 10 days, but be mindful not to stir up any trouble, said Xiaoheng. Yes. The core disciples nodded and then they were dismissed. We will only take action 10 days later so I could go to that place in these 10 idle days. Qingshao City was one of the 9 cities in Luogu territory, a place where many experts gathered. Not only there were many experts within the mansion of the city's governor, but they were also scattered elsewhere around the city. The magnificent mansion was suspended in the void, towering, grandiose, and daunting. There were only 3 to 4 mansions in the entire Qingshao city that could float in the void, and all their owners were outstanding figures. Jian Wushuang arrived at the mansion whose owner's name was known only by a single word, Kuan. People addressed him as Master Kuan. He was recognized as the finest craft master in Luogu territory. His refinery skill was ranked at the top 3 even in the entire Wuxia wilderness. Is this the place? Jian Wushuang was dressed in a black robe and he wore a bamboo hat to hide his face while his aura was completely enshrouded. He walked right up to the entrance of the mansion, but he was stopped by someone immediately before he could enter. It was 2 mansion guards who stopped Jian Wushuang. Although they were only guards, their strength and skill had reached the level of a half-step divine demon realm. Merely a guard could achieve the level of half-step divine demon realm. It was not hard to imagine the skill of the experts in the mansion. Stop where you are. The 2 half-step divine demon realm guards stared hostilely at Jian Wushuang. Please bring a message that Jian Yi would like to see Master Kuan. Jian Wushuang used the pseudonym of the previous sword slave Jian Yi. Jian Yi? The 2 guards ran the name quickly through their minds, but they had never heard of the name Jian Yi. Your Excellency, I don't know which force or family you belong to. In addition, please show your divine power so we can bring the message to our master. Both half-step divine demon realm guards could not see through Jian Wushuang's technique, hence they were rather polite at the beginning. I don't belong to any force or family. I'm just a lone ranger. As for my divine power, Jian Wushuang did not intend to hide it. He released his middle-stage chaotic realm divine power. And as soon as the guards noticed Jian Wushuang's divine power, their expressions instantly changed. Chapter 2380, A Formal Visit, Chaotic Realm? How dare a fellow chaotic realm come to see Master Kuan? The eyes of both half-step divine demon realm guards were ablaze with fury. What a joke, who does he think Master Kuan is? He was the best craft master in Luogu territory. Even a governor of 9 cities was humbled before Master Kuan. Even super experts who lived like mysteries hidden in the darkness and had surpassed the divine demon realm were happy to communicate with Master Kuan on an equal footing. How could anyone meet someone like Master Kuan as they wish? Under normal circumstances, even second-class divine demons or first-class divine demons had to wait a long time to see him. At times, Master Kuan would refuse to meet any of them. That was how second-class and first-class divine demons were treated. How could a chaotic realm come over so bluntly and ask to see Master Kuan? How could he be so confident? Leave. Get out of here or you will be killed. The 2 guards shouted angrily, and their strong god power was released towards Jian Wushuang. Indeed, Jian Wushuang, who was hiding under the bamboo hat, gave a weird smile. He had guessed that it would not be so easy for him to meet Master Kuan, so he came prepared. At the mansion's entrance, the two half-step divine demon realm guards stood like two mountains, blocking Jian Wushuang's path. They would kill Jian Wushuang without hesitation if he dared to take a step forward. Jian Wushuang slowly stretched out a finger as his figure shook. Before the two half-step divine demon realm could react, Jian Wushuang was already back to his original place and state. Now, can you go and bring my message? Jian Wushuang's faint laughter came from under the bamboo hat. Both half-step divine demon realms were just about to get angry when they felt a tingling sensation on their cheeks. They stretched out their hands to touch their cheeks and felt blood. In an instant, the two half-step divine demon realm guards were terrified and cold sweat was dripping down their bodies. There was a small sword mark on each of their cheeks. The sword pierced through their skin and blood was dripping out from their wound. The crux was that they did not notice when it happened at all. Had Jian Wushuang not been merciful just then, are we dead now? And Master. The two half-step divine demon realm guards became respectful towards Jian Wushuang immediately. There was a deep sense of horror in their eyes. Go tell Master Kuan that I would like him to craft something extraordinary. If he refuses to see me, he would miss a big deal, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Yes, Master. Please wait a moment, I will bring your message immediately. One of the black-armored guards immediately went into the mansion to deliver the message. The other person stood there trembling and did not dare to look straight at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly while standing there quietly and waiting patiently. At the wide hall in the mansion, a bald elder in a black robe sat casually. Next to the bald elder was also a purple-robed middle-aged man. The purple-robed middle-aged man had an extremely powerful aura. He was a first-class divine demon. However, even with his high status, he was somewhat careful with his behavior before the bald elder. Master Kuan was only a second-class divine demon himself, but he had a reputable social status. Hence, first-class divine demons were inferior when facing him. Master Kuan, please help me out with this matter, said the purple-robed middle-aged man with a smile. Mr. Su can rest assured. Since this matter was personally ordered by the governor of 8th Jin City, he'll go all out to work on it. I believe we can see results within 20 years, said the bald elder who was Master Kuan with a smile. Pleased to hear that, Master Kuan. Raise half of the deposit and the remaining half will be paid personally by the governor when it is done. The middle-aged man in purple robe handed over an interspatial ring. Master Kuan took it and simply tapped it as the grin on his face grew wider. Well, Mr. Su. This is the first time we've met each other, let's have a drink today. Master Kuan was chatting happily with the purple-robed middle-aged man when the black-armored half-step divine demon realm guard walked in. Master. The black-armored guard spoke respectfully. What's the matter? Master Kuan looked down. A Lone Ranger expert named Jian came and asked to see you. He also said that he would like you to craft something extraordinary. If you refuse to see him, you would miss out on a big deal, said the black-armored guard. Jian? Master Kuan frowned upon hearing the name. He had never come across an expert by the name of Jian all those years that he lived in Luogu territory. I have never heard of Jian, not only within Luogu territory but also the entire Wuxia wilderness. It seems like this person never existed. Master, Jian's cultivation level is only at middle stage chaotic realm. The black-armored guard explained. Chaotic realm? Master Kun's face turned cold suddenly and he scolded, You came all the way to deliver a message for a chaotic realm just because he asked to see me? Do you think I have a lot of free time? The black-armored guard was taken aback at the sudden change of atmosphere, but he continued immediately. Master, I wasn't going to deliver the message at the beginning, but this person is indeed someone unusual. Although he is only a middle-stage chaotic realm, he managed to defeat me and another guard effortlessly. I believe he could have killed me and the other guard had he wanted to, yet we didn't even realize what he did to us. This person is terrorizing. Oh. Master Kun's face changed. The purple-robed middle-aged man also looked surprised. A chaotic realm that defeated or could even kill two half-step divine demon realms in an instant before both two half-step divine demon realms could even respond to the attack. That chaotic realm. Are you sure that he is only a middle-stage chaotic realm? Asked Master Kuan with a frown. I'm sure. His divine power is indeed only at middle-stage chaotic realm, and he had never shown a power stronger than that since the beginning, but his swordsmanship and his command of laws were exceptional. It was a skill beyond the chaotic realm and even surpassed the divine demon realm. Therefore, I don't think that he is someone ordinary, so I came in and told you, answered the black-armored guard solemnly. Is that so? Master Kuan slightly nodded as his anger disappeared. Master Kuan, if this guard is telling the truth, I am 80% certain that person out there must be a top genius. Although he claims to be a lone ranger, he may be a super genius from some top sects, or he could have an old monster master. It's worth meeting a person like him, said the purple-robed middle-aged man. Master Kuan nodded as he thought so too. Go and get him. Chapter 2381, 4th Grade Craft Master. Soon, Jian Wushuang led by the black-armored guard came before Master Kuan and the purple-robed middle-aged man. Jian Yi is pleased to meet Master Kuan. I've heard of Master Kun's name for a long time. Jian Wushuang gave a slight bow and spoke politely. In fact, he had only heard of Master Kuan after he arrived at Qingxiao City. You're so humble. Please have a seat. Master Kuan waved his hand. Jian Wushuang sat down on a chair nearby. Both Master Kuan and the purple-robed middle-aged man had noticed Jian Wushuang's true cultivation the moment he stepped into the hall. Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was indeed outstanding, but his realm was too weak. He could disguise himself well before a half-step divine demon realm, but he fell short before a real full-fledged divine demon realm, especially someone at a second-class divine demon realm. They could see clearly that Jian Wushuang indeed only possessed the cultivation level of middle-stage chaotic realm. Can a middle-stage chaotic realm really kill a half-step divine demon realm? Both Master Kuan and the middle-aged man were thinking in their heads. I've never heard of your name. Who is your master? Asked Master Kuan. Neither do I belong to any school nor any master, answered Jian Wushuang with a smile. He then stood up and said, Master Kuan, truth to be told, I am here to ask for Master Kun's help in crafting a piece of treasure. Master Kuan exchanged looks with the purple-robed middle-aged man before asking, What treasure is it? It's a life armor. Master Kuan should know about it, said Jian Wushuang. Both Master Kuan and the purple-robed middle-aged man were instantly moved when they heard of the life armor. It was a piece of treasure that represented a cultivator's life and effort. It could also grow together with the cultivator, unleashing his unlimited potentials. It required a large number of precious treasures and an exceptional craft master to make it. Wuxia Wilderness was just an unremarkable small place within the ancient god domain. It was an arduous task to craft a life armor here. Therefore, Master Kuan was startled after knowing that Jian Wushuang was going to craft a life armor. I see. Do you want to craft the life armor for yourself or? Master Kuan was curious. I want it for myself, Jian Wushuang replied straightforwardly. He was telling the truth. Among the 5 most powerful secret skills of the 7-star Black Sect, the 9 Sparkle Star armor was an extremely powerful secret skill. Unfortunately, to cultivate this secret skill, one would need a life armor of his own. That was why Jian Wushuang was unable to get started with the secret skill until then. Back then in Anjio Commandery, it was almost impossible for him to craft his life armor due to the limited resources available. After arriving at Narcissus Island, he took the opportunity to ask Elder Wu Jin if craft masters in Narcissus Island had the ability to craft a life armor, but he was again disappointed. He could only continue looking for other opportunities. In Qingxiao City within Luogu territory, he came to visit Master Kuan right after hearing about his name. Do you know how hard it is to craft a life armor? Master Kuan looked at Jian Wushuang. To craft a life armor, it does not only require a lot of rare and precious treasures. It also needs a cultivator's strong essence and blood, and an exceptional craft master. These 3 are indispensable. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. His expression was unperturbed. That is exactly why I come to you, Master Kuan, today. I don't know if you have the ability to craft a life armor. Do you? Master Kuan frowned. He pondered for a moment before saying, My little friend, truth to be told, you will need a minimum of a 4th grade craft master to craft a life armor. Such a highly skilled craft master might be common in the entire ancient god domain. However, I believe there are not more than 3 in Wuxia Wilderness. Someone such as this is definitely a rare existence. There were a total of 9 grades of craft master in the ancient god domain. Yet a 4th grade craft master was scarce in Wuxia Wilderness. My friend Jian Yi, there are indeed no more than 3 craft masters who have reached the 4th grade in the entire Wuxia Wilderness, but Master Kuan, who is standing in front of you now, happens to be one of them, said the purple-robed middle-aged man suddenly. Master Kuan also gave a confident smile. In that case, Master Kuan, will you craft this life armor? Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. He was there to try his luck because he knew very well that it was an uphill task. Fortunately, he did not make the trip in vain. Although I have not been at the 4th grade for long, I am indeed a 4th grade craft master. I have never tried making the life armor, so there is a high possibility to fail on the very first try. If you would like me to make the life armor, I am afraid that you will need to prepare more materials for me to work with, said Master Kuan. I understand. What are the treasures needed for making a life armor? Asked Jian Wushuang. Master Kuan thought in silence momentarily before speaking slowly. For portions of red sun secret essences, 5 red blood fruits, 2 drops of purple shimmer, 100 pieces of spectacular beast scales, and finally 10,000 caddies of celestial iron ore. Collect all these materials, and if your own essence and blood can meet the requirements, I promise to craft a life armor for you. Jian Wushuang was indifferent even after hearing what Master Kuan said, but the purple-robed middle-aged man was completely astounded. He was shocked to hear the long list of materials listed down by Master Kuan. Red sun secret essence, red blood fruit, purple shimmer, spectacular beast scales are all extremely rare treasures in Wuxia wilderness, especially purple shimmer. There are perhaps only a total of 5 drops to be found in the entire Wuxia wilderness, yet 3 drops were needed to make the life armor. As for celestial iron ore, some ordinary sects will keep some in storage. It was nothing too precious, but to gather 10,000 caddies was unheard of. Even if top sects such as the Great Compassionate sect tried to collect it, they might need a long time to gather up to 10,000 caddies. Is that all? Jian Wushuang raised his head and glanced at Master Kuan. These are the only items needed, but these items are not easy to find. Well, it is difficult to find them in Wuxia wilderness, my friend. Master Kuan had not finished his sentence when he was disrupted. This is my message token. I will send you all the materials within 3 years. I will also prepare a generous gift for you as a reward, and I hope that I will have a life armor of my own. Jian Wushuang handed his message token to Master Kuan. Then he took a deep gaze at Master Kuan before he turned and left. Chapter 2382. Got it. After Jian Wushuang left, Master Kuan and the purple-robed middle-aged man in the hall had a strange look on their faces. Master Kuan, do you think the young man was teasing you? Asked the purple-robed middle-aged man curiously. Any single item on the long list of precious treasures mentioned by Master Kuan was enough to cause an uproar within the Wuxia wilderness, but when Jian Wushuang heard about them, he remained a straight face as if they were nothing special. Master Kuan shook his head. No. Someone from the middle stage chaotic realm wouldn't have the courage to tease me like that. Even if he dared to do so, I would be able to discover his flaws. I've lived for so many years and dare say that I'm rather accurate in judging someone. Despite his young age, the man gave me an ambiguous feeling when he stood before me just now. It was impossible for me to read him. Moreover, he was too calm just now, or I should say he was overconfident. That kind of confidence made me believe that it's possible for him to bring me those precious treasures within 3 years. Then again, those items are extremely rare. It might be possible to gather 1 or 2 of them. However, to collect all of them in such huge quantities, the purple-robed middle-aged man frowned. I don't have to worry about that. If he could bring me all those precious treasures, it'll help him make his life armor. I've nothing to lose if he fails. Master Kuan smiled. That's true. The purple-robed middle-aged man understood it. Jian Wushuang's heart was heavy after leaving Master Kuan's mansion. Red sun secret essence, red blood fruit, purple shimmer, spectacular beast scales, and celestial iron ore. Among all these items, I've only heard of the celestial iron ore, which is something extremely valuable. I can see from the expressions of the purple-robed middle-aged man that the other 4 items are also a rare find. I am afraid that it will not be easy for me to get all these items. Jian Wushuang mumbled under his breath. He knew very well that the life armor was not something easy to make. In his eternal chaotic world's previous life, Emperor Bai was able to make a life armor because the eternal chaotic world had many valuables that were left behind since the ancient times. Many precious treasures could be found from the ancient battlefields, so it was possible for Emperor Bai to gather those treasures. As for the craft master, Jian Wushuang was guessing that Emperor Bai might have asked Master Xuanyi to do it. Nonetheless, it was really difficult to find those treasures in Wuxia wilderness. Not to worry. I might not be able to find them now, but as long as my power is restored to its peak, I could do as I wish in Wuxia wilderness. It should be a lot easier to find those treasures at that time, Jian Wushuang murmured. The reason he told Master Kuan that he would bring those treasures in 3 years' time was that he knew that his power would be restored to its peak after 3 years. Once his power was restored, and if he could not get his hands on those treasures, he would leave Wuxia wilderness, never having to deal with Master Kuan ever again. Once I have the life armor, I can cultivate the 9 sparkle star armor. At that time, my power will level up. Unfortunately, you'll have to wait. After that day, Jian Wushuang spent his time in the inn where he lived. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. Soon it was the day when the large auction in Qingxiao City was held. Countless experts in Qingxiao City had made their ways to the auction. As for the 100-flower tower, it was a little deserted as compared to its merry atmosphere on usual days. Xiao Heng and his people were ready to carry out their plan. Suspended in the void outside 100-flower tower, Xiao Heng and his people, including Jian Wushuang, carefully converged their auras. According to what is expected, the 100 Flowers Tower is weakly guarded today. The second-class divine demons who usually guard 100 Flowers Tower have gone to the auction. Miss Xiao had lured the first-class divine demon that was hidden in 100 Flowers Tower away. In other words, 100 Flowers Tower was left with only some ordinary third-class divine demons and chaotic realms. Xiao Heng stared at the 100 Flowers Tower in the distance and his eyes could not contain his excitement. I suppose Miss Xiao is ready for us now. Let's do this. Xiao Heng reached an agreement with the 4 core disciples. Xiao Heng turned to look at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, your task is to stay here and be on the lookout for us. If something happens or some experts come our way, you will have to alert me immediately. Understood. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Xiao Heng and the disciples thought very little of him, hence only made him a watchman, which so happened that he was not keen to participate in their activities. Let's go. Xiao Heng waved his hand and the 5 core disciples from Narcissus Island advanced towards 100 Flowers Tower, whereas Jian Wushuang stood in the void quietly watching. He shook his head when he saw that Xiao Heng and others cautiously snuck into 100 Flowers Tower. These core disciples of Narcissus Island are still too young after all. How can this task be as simple as they thought? Although he was cognizant, he chose not to say much and just do what he was told. It did not take long for 100 Flowers Tower to be in a ruckus, and at the same time a surge of divine power effluxed from within. It seems like the fight has begun. Jian Wushuang was watching with interest. There were constant roars and tumultuous coming from the 100 Flowers Tower. Although the tower was left with no first-class and second-class divine demons, it never lacked ordinary third-class divine demons which were enough to bring great resistance against Xiao Heng and his people. Besides that, experts that scattered all over Qingxiao City would soon be aware of the scuffle in 100 Flowers Tower and made their way back to the tower, hence Xiao Heng and the other disciples were left with a short window of time to act. However simple-minded Xiao Heng and the other disciples were, they were competent core disciples of Narcissus Island and were skillful in combat despite being only in third-class divine demons. They were top-tier third-class divine demons, especially Xiao Heng. When Xiao Heng went all out with his powers, he was comparable to an ordinary second-class divine demons. Not long after, the 5 of them work hand in hand. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The 5 figures came dashing out from 100 Flowers Tower and frantically headed towards the outer city. Jian Wushuang, hurry up. Xiao Heng sent a message to Jian Wushuang. Looks like they've made it. Not too bad after all. Jian Wushuang grinned while his figure floated away to the outer city. Shortly after Xiao Heng and others left 100 Flowers Tower, a large group of figures emerged behind them from the tower. How dare these people abduct someone from my 100 Flowers Tower? Go after and kill them all. Be careful. Miss Xiao is still in their hands. A swarm of figures frantically went after Xiao Heng and the others. Chapter 2383. Mu Clan. It was late at night, the moonlight dimmed. In a jungle far away from Qingxiao City, Xiao Heng and the 4 core disciples of Narcissus Island sat on the ground, convalescing their divine power after the fight. They all looked tired. It was nothing to break into 100 Flowers Tower, fight against the experts, and save Miss Xiao, then escaping from the tower. However, they were chased after by a huge group of pursuant who wanted their lives. They fled from Qingxiao City all the way to where they were while having gone through several obstacles and hard battles along the way. They even fought against second-class divine demons, but fortunately they managed to escape. Finally, we have dumped those people. There was a glimmer of hope on Xiao Heng's face as he instinctively darted a look at the veiled woman beside him. Miss Xiao was wearing an ordinary tight-fitting robe that accentuated her perfect figure. The moonlight created a mysterious effect on her which made her appear even more attractive. She stood there quietly, not saying a word. Xiao Heng involuntarily swallowed a gulp of saliva and at the same time was relieved. Although they encountered a lot of troubles today, they succeeded in rescuing the beauty. Suddenly, a slight cracking sound emerged. Who was that? All 5 of the Xiao Heng's party abruptly stood up in vigilance. Brothers, it's me. Jian Wushuang's figure appeared in front of the 5 along with his laughter. Jian Wushuang. Xiao Heng glanced over at Jian Shuang. Back at Qingxiao City, the five of them took Miss Xiao and fled the scene. They had sent a message to Jian Shuang and told him to leave quickly, but did not travel together. Little had they expected that Jian Shuang would catch up with them. Miss Xiao. Jian Shuang peeked at Miss Xiao. That is very polite of you. Miss Xiao was being lovely as usual. Well, now that we have rescued Miss Xiao and escaped from the charging parties, let us all get some rest and recuperate before returning to Narcissus Island, said Xiao Heng. The four core disciples became relaxed. However, Jian Shuang shook his head in disagreement. Brothers, I'm afraid that things aren't as simple as what you think. What do you mean? Xiao Heng questioned in a deep voice that was seemingly unhappy. Don't you think that things were progressing too smoothly? Asked Jian Shuang while still smiling. Xiao Heng sneered. Too smooth? You weren't with us and had no idea how dangerous the situations were just then. Of course you thought that it went on smoothly. That's right. It was easy for you to say. If you were with us just now, I'm afraid you would have died. A core disciple next to him jeered. Jian Shuang raised his brows. In fact, he was close behind Xiao Heng and the others and saw what they had been through. They were in a fair bit of trouble, but it was a far cry from real danger as things were going rather smoothly. Then again he had done his part to remind them. He could not be bothered if Xiao Heng and the rest took his words lightly. Someone is coming, Jian Shuang suddenly announced. Huh. Xiao Heng and the others were on their toes. At the same time, their soul powers had allowed them to sense the massive aura appearing in the void near them. There are a lot of people and they're here for us. Xiao Heng's expression changed almost instantly. Just as he wanted to retreat, the opponents were already moving at top speeds and appeared in front of them in the blink of an eye. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. There were more than a dozen figures appeared before them. Those people's auras and powers were intimidating. Among the dozen people, there were powerhouses beyond the divine demon realm with 4 being second-class divine demons. Damn it. We're in deepest H*T. How could this be? Haven't we dumped those pursuing troops from 100 Flowers Tower? Xiao Heng and the 4 core disciples' faces became extremely ugly. The 5 of them were powerful nonetheless, but they had no chance against the strong lineup of 4 second-class divine demons and a dozen of third-class divine demons. Jian Shuang narrowed his eyes as he studied the group of experts surrounding them. These people are not from the 100 Flowers Tower. Jian Shuang was tailing the Xiao Heng's group. He knew for sure that they had escaped the pursuing troops from 100 Flowers Tower. The ones that appeared before them. Fellow friends from Narcissus Island, don't worry. We're from the Mu clan. A clear and crisp voice came from the mouth of a second-class divine demon. He was an elder with white hair. The old man had a rattled look with seemingly cloudy eyes and a gentle smile. Mu clan. Xiao Heng was relieved and was soon overcome with joy. We came with orders from the Mu clan head to bring the second miss home. This is a token from the Mu clan. You can have a look at it. The white-haired old man threw a token toward their direction. Xiao Heng took it and examined it carefully before nodding. It's indeed a token from the Mu clan. Why do you need Narcissus Island to carry out the rescue mission if the Mu clan had sent such a strong party over? I'm unable to explain the reasons to you. In short, now that we are here, we'll be responsible for the safety of the second Mississippi. All of you can return to Narcissus Island, said the white-haired old man. Xiao Heng and the other core disciples exchanged looks of hesitation. If they had rescued an ordinary person, they would happily hand that person to the Mu clan and return to Narcissus Island. However, the one that they had just rescued was none other than the beautiful Miss Xiao, who had completely captured the hearts of Xiao Heng and the 4 core disciples. The group of 5 were reluctant to leave Miss Xiao. Your Excellency, how about this? Let us join your group to the Mu's residence. My brothers and I'll leave as soon as we see that Miss Xiao had safely stepped into the Mu's residence. Xiao Heng suggested. That might not be feasible. I think you should just return to Narcissus Island. The white-haired old man kept a smile on his face. Xiao Heng could sense that something was wrong. Not only did those people from the Mu clan appear strangely out of nowhere, they even insisted on escorting Miss Xiao and refused the company of Xiao Heng's group, hence raising his suspicions. You are not from the Mu clan. Xiao Heng roared. The 4 core disciples immediately took out their weapons and stood ready. Jian Shuang shook his head when he heard Xiao Heng. I think you are wrong. These people are indeed from the Mu clan. However, if I'm not wrong, they aren't here to bring Miss Xiao home. Instead, they're here to make sure Miss Xiao will never return to the Mu's residence. What? Xiao Heng's face changed. Are they here to kill Miss Xiao? Jianwu Shuang glanced at Miss Xiao who was next to him and was certain that he got it right when he noticed the chilliness in her eyes. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.